Thank you, everybody, for coming here tonight. Tonight is going to be a special evening. I guarantee you that. Tonight is Shir number 63 with Let's Get Real program with Coach Menachem Berenfeld. Again, we appreciate everybody coming every week. As we say every week, the platform is growing every week more and more. And all the viewers that they get, they come on and they post it on their WhatsApp statuses and they tell people about it. They email their friends. We're getting tremendous feedback. And I want to thank every person that comes on every week and being mechazik themselves, mechazik other people. It's a chabura, sichas chaverim. And I'm really thankful for that. Thank you again. For all those who are watching the replay of this on YouTube, please click on the like button for Coach Menachem and the subscribe button. So Menachem and I say every week can make millions of dollars on this. That's the goal. And I want to start off first with the advertising sponsors that always promote us. First over here, the Lakewood Scoop over here in Lakewood. Special thank you to Rabbi and from Chazak for advertising us on all the Chazak platforms. I want to give a special thank you this week to Mrs. Mika Sofa from CLL Live for promoting us in CLL. Sholom, special for you, she said. A special thank you to Chayla Kaufman and Shmuel Sum from JCN for always promoting us on all the digital Jewish platforms. Again, if anybody was here the first time, every Sunday night we have a shir on the Zoom ID. It's different topics, different rabbanim, and please just spread the word, come back. It's unbelievable. Next Sunday is Tisha B'Av, so this is the last shir that we have before Tisha B'Av. We'll get into that in a minute. We put together, actually, Menachem put together a beautiful 3-speaker pre-recorded session. We're going to be sending it out, email and text, everybody. It's going to be Rabbi Gershon Schaufel from Skokie, Illinois, Rabbi Heshi Kleiman from Praying with Fire, and Rabbi Daniel Gladstein. They're going to be talking about Tisha B'Av and amazing stories. It shouldn't be a long video, maybe like an hour or so, Menachem, right? Something like that?
Maybe two,
maybe 3. But we'll send it out, and we're only charging a mere $0, so you can enjoy it free of charge, and please enjoy it. The next program we're going to have is going to be a special edition on Tuesday night, which we don't usually do, July 20th, with Rabbi Shlomo Bachner. We're discussing priceless dreams of building generations. We're going to have an open conversation with him, and it should be an amazing, amazing program, and tell everybody to please join. Tonight, we have the schus of having with us 2 of the most special people that I know. Maybe you know other people that they really taught us a tremendous thing in Klal Yisrael, and so apropos that tonight, I scheduled this with Sholom months ago. I don't have a calendar when I schedule. I had somebody scheduled for Tisha B'Av also. And it comes out the Sunday before Tisha B'Av. And we first started off, we're going to talk about Emunah B'Tachon, which is Sholom it's his motto. And then last minute, we already made the ad without Rabbi Lipschutz. And then last minute, with a lot of pushing and nudging, Baruch Hashem, his wife helped us. They got him to agree to come on. And we tweaked the topic to talk about being there for other people in times of need. And I think these 2 things alone is what we need before Tisha B'Av. And I think if we get tonight at Klar, I think Mashiach will come tonight. So I'm looking forward. I'm wearing my white shirt special for that. And Aleph Beis Gimel, right? Ready for it. So again, thanks for coming on. And again, we're going to talk about Ahavas Chinam and Emunah B'Tachon. And again, a great shkoyach for Rabbi Lipschutz and for Rabbi Sholom for coming on tonight. And let's open up with a few opening words from our host, Coach Menachem. Sichas Advar.
Shkoyach. Welcome everyone to another show. And Baruch Hashem, the feedback is amazing. Last week's and from all the recordings. The truth is, last time we had Rabbi Rubashkin on, it's mamish like a tease to give him just an hour and a half, 2 hours. There's so much to say, and we went on till 1 o'clock. And I know many people watched the recordings till today. And the feedback is really amazing. Many people started learning Chovos HaLevavos from hearing the stories, from understanding that it doesn't happen overnight, and it takes time, and it's something we need to learn. And the truth is, tonight we're taking it to the next level of Ahavas Chinam, helping people even though we don't know them, and that's one of the things we need for building the Beis HaMikdash. It doesn't have to be a huge story. It doesn't have to be in the news. It could be just your neighbor, very simple, helping whatever you can. It doesn't have to be always money. Whatever it is to help somebody, even though you don't know them, they don't look like you. And another part we're going to be talking tonight is also about a little bit of a hishtadlus. A lot of people ask, how much hishtadlus should I do? How does it work with bitachon? And I think tonight we have discussed to have Rabbi Lipschutz on. I think while he was doing these things, there were many times that it looked like he was just doing nothing, or it's not going to work at all. But they continued anyways, because the chelik of hishtadlus has to be, this is what I need to do now. I don't know if it's going to work or not. and we'll leave it up to Hashem. And that's how they continued until they saw the results, which they weren't able to see it all the time. So the truth is, there's a lot to work on, and Emunah B'Tachon is a big topic. Havas Chinim is a big topic, and the Shtadlus is a big topic. So we'll touch on it tonight. And obviously, everybody in their level, on their madrega, we shouldn't think that we're already by the 80. It takes time. We live a life. Everybody has their struggles and their nisyonis, which they have to tap in and connect. And it could be with davening, tefillah. And one more thing is to learn how to thank Hashem, to be connected to Hashem. And then part of it is the emunah b'tachon. When things go hard, things don't work the way you want. So it's easier to connect then. But if you only start when it doesn't work out, sometimes it can be a challenge. So mit Hashem, we should have a lot of siyata d'shmaya, and everybody should be able to take out whatever they can for their own situation and learn and grow. So thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Chosh Menachem, beautiful opening. Okay, let's get into the meats. Okay, tonight's share is sponsored by Recovery at the Crossroads. Recovery at the Crossroads is the only kosher inpatient treatment center in the tri-state area. They are a licensed co-occurring treatment center, which means they are licensed to not only treat substance abuse, but also any other underlying mental conditions such as anxiety, depression, or trauma. They have been around for 15 plus years and helped many from families, put in tremendous effort in working together with the families. If you or anyone you know is struggling with an addiction, please feel free to reach out to them. They happen to be amazing people. I know them personally, and they're really, really special. The number is 888-466-5950, 888-466-5950. I want to turn over the floor. I don't want to waste any time tonight. Tonight we have so much to cover. I want to turn over the floor to Sholom Rubashkin for a little opening words, followed by Rabbi Lipschutz.
Okay, Shalom Aleichem, everybody. And Usher and Coach Menachem, it's a pleasure being back over here. And we're hoping we would already be in Yerushalayim with Agula Shlema. Hopefully, Mr. Hashem will have this year. Last year I was talking myself. I was up in the mountains there, and Baruch Hashem next to my dear brother and friend, Pinchos. And so I'm going to start with a few words of opening about Emunah B'Tachon, just to lay down the foundation and how to get on what we'll be talking, questions and answers. What is Emunah? What's the essence of Emunah? Emunah is usually translated to be faith. I believe there's an Eibishter, but it's obviously not that. Not only that. Obviously, it's not only that there's a mindment that there is an Eibishter, there's a creator, and up somewhere, up in the sky, but rather, Emunah goes with Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, meaning Achdus, one, unity, Hashem is all over, and which translates very, very importantly into actually never feeling alone, never feeling afraid, realizing that everything that's happening, and this is the foundation of how being able to overcome challenges, is knowing that where the challenge is coming from. It's not coming from just any place. It's not out of control. It's rather very much in control. Hashem is the one giving you the challenge. Very similar to the first year, Avram Avinu. Whenever you had a challenge, you knew that even though he was Taka Eved Neman, Hashem is wanting to see, and if he Taka believes there's no other koyach besides him. And every time he saw a challenge, he knew that his job right now was to overcome that challenge and show that he, even in this matzav, even in this situation, he believes in the Eibishter. Practically speaking, once you know that it's Hashem who's creating the world every moment, then you know that everything's by divine providence, and then you know the same way Hashem is creating the situation that you're going through now, that it seems to be very difficult for you. Hashem at one moment can create a new situation. You actually say in davening, you say, Adon on the floors, Hashem is the master of wonders, and then you're right, and right after that comes when you believe that the Eibishter creates the world every moment, then that's the foundation of believing that he's the master of miracles. A miracle happens when Hashem changes the nature the way it was there before. So that's Emunah. With Emunah, you come to the realization that since you know everything comes from Hashem, Hashem is Tachat HaTov, Hashem is the ultimate good. So therefore, you come always saying Gam Zul Teva, not just saying it, but actually feeling it, living it. That yes, for a moment the world gives itself a push in your face, and you think that something is another power, something that's not good is happening. But you strengthen yourself, realizing that it's from the Eibishter. So you say Gam Zulu Teva, and that Gam Zulu Teva itself is the purpose for you, what you're going through, and we'll change it, as I will finish off in a few minutes. That's Emunah. Now, together with that, you have B'tochen. As Emunah is the foundation of our faith, of our religion, if you could call it Adas, yeah? And so you say this, everything is Emunah. Emunah is not even counted as a mitzvah by some, because Emunah is you have to know first as Eibishter before you know there's a commander that is commanding the mitzvahs. So then together with Emunah, the Eibishter wants us to have B'tochen in him to help us out in the matzav. You mentioned, Usher mentioned before, and Coach Menachem mentioned, everybody always, the whole goal is everybody's going through tzoros. And how do you straighten yourself in the matzav of tzoros? Is the Eibishter wants us together with the emunah that whatever the Eibishter doing is good. Hashem wants us to trust him to get us out of the tzara. This is something which I think is the most foundational thing. What I'm sharing with you today is from the Rishonim, and Rabbi here writes, the whole foundation of trusting in Hashem will help you is where does it come from? So he says it comes from the mitzvah. If you go out to war and you see an army that's bigger than you and they're mightier than you, that have more horses, that have more tanks, that have more missiles, you're outnumbered. And according to natural predictions, you're finished, right? Hashem wants you to loy sirim behem. Hashem says, don't be afraid. How can I be afraid? And that's the foundation of B'tochen, that even if you're in a matzav of a tzara, and it says it's not only by war, even but when you are in any tzara you are in, Hashem wants you to trust him that he'll get you out of the tzara, which means not only will you receive a good that Hashem knows is good, it'll be a good that you can also see is good. So that's the Emunah B'tochen. How do you pull both things together? Because once something happened, you know that whatever happened is the Teva. You have Emunah, you know that it's for good. That itself leads you then to the B'tochen. Hashem, who's making it, wants you to trust him that even though until now it was working this way, going forward, Hashem will take you out of the tzara. So yesterday's problem is not a proof that the problem has to proceed. So that's Aleph Beis. Miraculously, I was freed on this. We'll talk later about this in the Kudah. At least the days of Aleph Beis Gimel, Aleph Teves, I was told that it's over. You have no chance of getting out of prison for the next 18 years. I was already 8.5 years in prison. They wanted 27 years in total. I was told, I was notified that by mail that every single avenue in the legal system has been shut off. They don't want to hear anything anymore. It is what it is. And I thought to myself, that's what they say. Hashem says, until now, now I'm going to trust in Hashem. I took a piece of paper, I threw it into the locker. The very next day, Hashem freed me from prison. Mamish Aleph Teves, I got this. So it gets me to this point. Emunah and B'tochen are not passive. People think when you pick up your hands, you do something, that's action. If you pick up your hand, put it in your pocket, you take out tzedakah, you help somebody, that's action. Emunah is a thought, it's a belief. Not true. Emunah and B'tochen are very, very active. When the Yid has that Emunah, that whatever he's looking at is only coming from Hashem. And therefore it's good. That takes away that bad, that exterior mask, if you will. It takes the mask off of the good that's hidden. And this is all the stories we hear, starting from Avraham Avinu's, the story about him going to Rakeda and the Satan wanted to try to come and try to stop him by the river. What did he do? He had firm belief that the Eibishter told him to go ahead and bring Yitzchak to Rakeda. He refused to budge. He kept on going, and then his emunah made the water go away. Right? Emunah is active. Actually, the Maral HaProg writes that fear, which is the opposite of emunah, it can cause problems. It's not as if you have emunah, you're a wonderful person. You have B'tochen, even greater. But if you have fear. Fear can mess things up. The Maral HaProg in the Tzivus B'tochen, he writes that he quotes a pasuk from I think Mishlei that Cherdas Adam Bekesh. The fear of a person creates the fear. So when we look around, just to finish with this thought, when we look around and we see a world that seemingly with all its it seems like out of control, it seems like a lot of bad things are going on, painful things are definitely going on, and therefore we think the chas v'sholom, there's other things in charge here. How could it come from a source of totally good? But our emunah, that everything's from the Eibishter, and our betochen, the Eibishter will help us. That is the koyach to stop and take it away, this external pain. And so this I hope to be able to share with you and everybody that's on tonight, is how emunah b'tochen is not something which is passive, a habit, that's a belief. But you now get real. What are you going to do? That's what you're doing. You're addressing the situation, and then how does it work out? You're besimcha. You don't fall down. You're not full of yush. Even if you have feelings of anxiety for a moment, you overcome those feelings, knowing that it's from Hashem, knowing what Hashem clearly wants you to do in this massive, and you'll continue learning, and you continue davening, and you continue doing mitzvahs, and showing that even though it looks like something else is, other than the goodness is happening, your emunah knows it's from Hashem, that is comes to teva, with a betochen gomad Eibishter will help. So this is the opening remarks, and hopefully with using these three things that we spoke about, the essence of emunah betochen, and how it's not passive, it's actually powerful, that we are hoping to answer many questions that will come up.
Beautiful, Shalom, beautiful. Schus, I want to turn to Rabbi Lipschutz. Rabbi Lipschutz, just a small psicha. You can tell us a little bit about the connection with Shalom, and we're going to turn to you soon to really get into knowing how to be there for another year, because you are the example. You are the epitome of that. So let's get into a little beginning of how the whole thing started a little bit.
Like Shalom said, we'll get real.
Get real.
When I got involved with Shalom, I had never met him. I didn't know him. I had not even ever spoken to him. When I came to the Rubashkin plant after he was indicted and the OU took off the Heksher, Rabbi Pesach Lerner Zachor Latov organized a trip of rabbis, rabbonim, to come see the plant. And I was one of them that went. And I saw that everything that was written about him, we forget now that the Rubashkin case was a major case. It was before Biden, before Trump, before these type of people. And the media was preoccupied with such types of tales of people taking advantage of other people. And here was this Hasidic person, as he was painted, in Iowa, who moved to Iowa to suck the blood of immigrants and to suck the money out of the kind, pure people of Iowa and to take it for the Jews. That's how he was painted. And I went there and I saw that everything that I had read in the media was a lie. I saw a beautiful plant. We spoke to the workers. There was no one that claimed they were mistreated. The New York Times had written, I believe it was the New York Times, I don't want to be sued for libel, that there was no cafeteria, that the workers were starved. It wasn't true. We were in that cafeteria. They said that they had to pay for their own, what are they called, their own uniforms. It wasn't true. They had a room where they went in every day and they took uniforms. Everything that was written about the plant was not true. It was an ultra-modern, clean, beautiful plant. As people say today, it was a Kiddush Hashem. And I said, I have to do something to help these people. And Shalom was busy working then. He was running the plant. He didn't have time to meet with the Rabbanim. I met his brother Yossi. And me and Yossi became quick friends. And then one day Yossi said, listen, I have friends, but my brother, Shalom, who you didn't meet, he's locked in jail. He doesn't have who to talk to. Do me a favor, call him up. Speak to him. I said, what are we going to talk about? I have nothing in common with him. So he said, you'll talk to him, you'll see, you'll find something. You'll learn. So we started out learning, and then we switched to Chayvus Havavis, and the rest is history. The beauty of Shalom Ardcha is that when he talks about Amunah B'tachon, it's not just a person who studies Amunah B'tachon, it's a person who lived it. He lived these chapters of Chayvus Havavis, of Amunah B'tachon, and Maral, and all the Heilige Sfarim, what they teach about Amunah B'tachon, he lived it, and because of that, he was taken out of jail.
Beautiful. Okay, we're going to get into it now very deep. You ready? Take a 1 minute break. We're going to ask a poll from the Olam, and then we're going to get into it. We have a bunch of live questions. Tons of questions came in, and a lot of big things are going to happen. Here we go. Okay, everybody on the shir, answer these two questions. Let's get a feel from the crowd. How do you build your emunah and betachon? You personally, by davening, by doing chesed, or learning about emunah betachon. What works for you? Number two, in the time of need, I find it helpful when either A, people offer without asking me for help, or people respect my privacy and wait for me to ask them for help. Again, I'll read it again. In the time of need, when a person is in a tzara and he needs somebody, I find it helpful when A, people offer without asking me for help. They just come and they help. Option two, people respect my privacy and wait for me to ask them for help. Okay, 5 seconds and we'll answer this and we'll get into some questions. 5, 4, 2, 1. Okay, let's share with everybody. Okay, how do you build your emunah betachon? 31% of the people here tonight said by davening, 10% said by doing chesed, and 59%, the winner, was by learning emunah betachon. Sholom, is the right answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a caveat there. There's a caveat.
Yeah. Okay.
Lipschutz.
In time of need, I find it helpful when people offer without asking me for help. They just go and do it. That's what most people, the people that are in need, they feel that they want people to come and just be there for them and do for them. 22% of people respect when people don't jump on them and give them their privacy. Interesting?
Interesting.
Okay, you can X the screen if it's blocking it.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, we have a bunch of questions. Let's start with 1 or 2 questions that came in, and then we'll take some live, and let's get into it, okay?
How do we get rid of it?
There's a little X. Don't X out, please. You got it?
No. Oh.
Oh, you guys are like Jeff Bezos and, Steve Jobs. Okay, here we go.
Flying in space.
So much for the question. I'm going to gear it to you, but Penny, if you want to jump in, please jump in. I'm currently going through a challenge in my life, and it's very hard for me just to rely on Hashem. On one hand, I'm very upset that Hashem is putting me through all this craziness and sorrow and pain. What would be my first step so I could apply it to my situation, even if I'm upset? What's the first step I could do to build my emunah betachon even though I'm tzabrochen?
Okay, so this is the first thing you have to ask. I don't know whoever listened to the question. The first question is who you upset at? You're upset at a person who's doing something to you, and for example, let's say you're a business owner and another guy opens another business on the across street from you. So you're now in worry if the other person by doing that is taking away from you the parnasa chas v'sholom. So obviously the answer for that would be to look into again to reconnect with the Eibishter as he's the one who is providing for you, and this is the Shara P'tachon talks about this very, very long what the proper thing of shtadlus is, but most important, or if he's talking about upset with the Rabbi Shalom, chas v'sholom, is I've heard this type of if a person I tell you personally from my father, Rabbi Shalom, was a person who would work for 50, 60 years, and Baruch Hashem built up a big business. The business in Iowa that they destroyed was his business, wasn't my business. I was there to help him. And he told me, and I heard this from other people during Shiva. He said, leave me, he said, leave me, I have no kindness to the emunah means that you realize that you've been created from the Eibishter, and like he said, how can a creation understand the creator? We don't emunah by definition means we don't understand. And our emunah is so that we understand that where it's coming from, and therefore our intelligence is limited. Like when Moshe Rabbeinu came to Pari to tell you to come from Mitzrayim, and suddenly it gets harder. It gets harder. Instead of getting easier, she got easier. Maybe she made it like that. So Moshe Rabbeinu asked Lama Reisa. What kind of question? Where did the question come from? But realizing that we don't understand, so we take our emunah to strengthen our emunah, which I want to say as a foundation is that every single one of us has that natural emunah from Avraham Avinu, from the neshama, and what we have to do is stop a second and think. Getting upset at who? How does it make sense if I'm getting upset? Do I really understand where it's coming from? Or is this upset is coming from the every person has a Yetzer Tov, Yetzer Hara. Is it coming from the Yetzer Hara who's trying to pull me away from the truth of the matter? The Eibishter wants me to recognize him in this matzav, and then get closer to the Eibishter. This is what I found, and this is what I found very clearly. But it's during a time of Nisayon, it's that the natural reactions to pull away and be upset, but we have to forget. We have to get closer to the Eibishter to take their mitzvahs, and then you see suddenly how suddenly all the hardships start fading.
I want to say something, even though the question wasn't directed at me, but all Yidden have a Emunah and Bitachon. Mordechai's father, who lived through a lot, and you can imagine this period was very trying for him. Almost every time I spoke to him, he said, Lipschutz, der Eibishter bleibt nicht schuldig. Always said, der Eibishter bleibt nicht schuldig. He said, sein gut, der Eibishter bleibt nicht schuldig. It means that the Eibishter never owes you, and it never ends up owing you anything. The Eibishter is going to pay you back, and everything will be fine. You said that the person is tzibrochen, and he's angry at Hashem. My friend, Reb Simcha Bodim Kohn, is a big Rav here, and like when he was a bacher, he was very upset. His friend was nifta suddenly, and he was very upset. He couldn't deal with it. And he was very close to Moshe Feinstein. He went to New York, and he told Moshe that ich bin zerbrochen, Rebbe, ich bin zerbrochen, mein Chaber ist weg. So really, you got to listen to this one. So Moshe said, Simcha Bodim, a Yid wird nicht zerbrochen. A Yid wird besser. A Yid never gets zerbrochen. You should never get zerbrochen. You should never let anything get you down, no matter what it is. We have to be strong. We are a strong people. Klal Yisrael is strong. Our DNA is strong. We have an Eibishter who's with us all the time. All the time. Just now it's Behester. And when he tests us and he gives us nisyonos, and when we go through rough times, we stay with him and he stays with us.
Can I
question? I want to just jump in over. Somebody texted a question. Why is it that those who are struggling have the hardest time connecting to Hashem? And if it's so hard to connect in times of need, how can we connect?
Okay.
It happens to be that many people connect dafka in a time of need. When things are going good, they forget about the Rebbeinu Shlom. It's Teichvoitz Miyodi. I'm so smart. I'm so great. I put together this company. I have 100 people working for me. But then when COVID hits and you don't have your workers and you don't have your customers, all of a sudden the Eibishter left me. But then they remember that there's an Eibishter and they call out them and they daven, and now the economy is better than it ever was because so many people daven so stark that the Eibishter responded to the tefillas.
That is true. On that, we want to move on to the next question, or we can keep on going?
No, finish saying. I'll put somebody on.
I wanted to bring out this. Take about 2 minutes, but it's important.
No, plenty of time.
We are all sitting around. We all Baruch Hashem, and the viewers are all Torah mitzvahs. We do mitzvahs asay, we do mitzvahs leisasa, and then there's the sayness. I wanted to clarify what we're talking about because I think this is goes to the heart of the subject. When a yid does a mitzvah asay, it doesn't. Hashem says to put on tefillin in the morning. Hashem says keep Shabbos, and we do that. Yeah. So then we're interacting with the world. We're taking something in the world, and we're bringing kedusha into the world. Right. A person rejects tumah. There's an avera there. The Eibishter says don't do it. Don't get involved with it. He rejects it. There's something happening, and the sayin, a test, has nothing to do with anything but the person himself. If you will that way. And the whole purpose of an sayin versus a mitzvah is to bring out by the person a deeper koyach, a deeper connection to Hashem than he had before. So if the Nisayon is actually working backwards, where it's hurting him, he missed the point. Take a picture of Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu was given 10 Nisayonos. What were the Nisayonos for? The Nisayonos were for to bring out by him his tremendous ahavah to Hashem. Even though he was told, that even though he's fighting to spread the belief in the one Hashem. Mitamol Nimrod has the koyach to throw him to fire. Does Avraham Avinu realizes that's not an inyan that he has to be able to have a deeper amunah, a deeper close to Hashem, and then the fire doesn't touch him. Hashem tells him to go to Eretz Yisrael. It becomes a famine there. because you lose his Amun Faket. You realize that every Nisayan till the Akedah was all about the person. When a person is going through a challenge, if you can identify it as a Nisayan, then you realize what's meant here is exactly what a Pinchos was saying. You don't get to bracha, they'll be around. You're being given something together with the ability to overcome it. You're giving the job right now is to bring out by you a deeper connection to Hashem, which shows itself in maintaining your connection to the mitzvahs. And when you do it, that's precisely the way this thing that's upsetting you so much goes away. If you do otherwise, if you get that, you're giving power to it. If you think, oh, there's something else over there that's other than Hashem, and I should be afraid of it, and I should be worried about it. So then what you're doing, you yourself are making it something that it's really not. Because the whole avodah, the whole service of Hashem here was about how are you going to react to it.
Okay, let's go to the live question. You're on.
Hi, I have two questions. My first question is based on what Rabbi Lipschutz just finished up.
Mhm.
What he said before, that when it comes to good times, people forget about Hashem. I personally, many times in my life, had an experience that I was forced because of a very challenging situation where there was really no way out. I was only able to be Saimach on Hashem. And Baruch Hashem, I had bitachon. I don't want to say I had bitachon, but I was able to be mechazik myself, and Hashem mamish cleared the way through. Then obviously, slowly, I forgot about it. I forgot that connection. And then a couple of months later, the same challenge in a very similar way came up again, which was even more devastating. And again, I was forced to only look up to Hashem. And again, Hashem cleared the way through. So the first question is, so how does one maintain that high level, I don't know what you want to call it bitachon, but connection, and keep it up and not forget about Hashem because things are not going easy? And my second question is there ever a time where having bitachon is useless if like the only way to get a Yeshua is through mamish and nes, gomer, or bitachon is always supposed to be used? Is bitachon ever like one's just fooling himself and psychologically saying things will be good, or always, no matter what, one's supposed to have bitachon in every situation, even if a mace is required for the situation to get resolved?
Good questions. Oh,
Me?
yeah.
Wer bin ich? We say, Chazal say, afilu chayav chad u'menachas al tzavor shalodom. You can never be miyayish. You have bitachon, ain't samchal al nes, but amun bitachon, we don't use bitachon. You said to use bitachon, we don't use bitachon. Bitachon is our natural state of being. Every day when you daven, when you get up and you say Moida Ani, you're connecting with Hashem. The tachlis of a Yid is to be connected with Hashem. The reason we're in Avelis now in the 9 days is because we don't have the connection that we had when there was a Beis Hamikdash. But we have tefillah. The avodah that we have instead of kabbanis is tefillah. So when we daven, if we think about the words we're saying, we're connecting to Hashem. We're telling Hashem our needs. We're thanking Hashem for what He did for us. That's one way to stay connected. Another way is through Torah. The Torah is Hashem. When you learn Gemara, when you learn Torah, you are connecting with Hashem. Hashem is speaking to you. And Torah is mechazik you in so many ways. It's not just that you learn, let's say, daf yomi sukkah. So you won't just learn how to make a sukkah, but you'll be connected with Hashem. And you'll have more bitachon. You'll feel better about yourself. You'll be a better person. And everything in your life will go better. The more Torah you learn, the more you're connected with Hashem, the better your davening will be, the better your midas will be, the better your interactions with other people will be, and the more hatzlachah you'll have.
What you want to add on that?
I can just tell you what I personally, when I found out the first night it threw me into this what do you call this shul, solitary confinement. So all these thoughts were flying around in my brain about how terrible the matzav is and how yush and depression, and nothing seemed to make sense. I was fighting for my Yamaka and Tzitzis, and I wasn't, and the reward for that was being thrown into solitary confinement seemingly. And then it hit me, fakert. This is an usoyin. and that the Eibishter wants to see how are we going to act in this matzav. Am I going to stay true and connected to him through maintaining Torah mitzvahs with an emunah and a betachon the Eibishter will help me, or will I pull back and say when it gets better, that's when I'll serve Hashem. And Baruch Hashem, the Eibishter gave me the clarity of thought, and taking from what I learned. You learn Torah gives you the guidance you need to have to realize that fakert now is the matzav. I have to be stronger. I have to be closer to the Eibishter. And by the next morning, a few hours later, the morning broke out. They brought me back to Mount Menachem, and I started singing Yeshua. And this was the first time I saw that fakert. That's what I saw. But in this matzav, I saw that how to go forward in this dark place called prison, and not to come Jewish, not to realize that every step of the way is another study, another test, and specifically by getting close to Hashem, not backing away, getting closer through Torah mitzvahs. That's the connection. Then that's the way. So when I got back to my own consciousness, I felt that not I want to fight. I felt that Hashem said, "Oh, you want to be connected? Here, take it back." And from then on in, every time Baruch Hashem, I went through 8.5 years, many different situations being pulled around. I didn't miss one day the schools of putting on Talsan Tefillin, etc. So to wrap it up, emunah b'tachon is not a how do you say voluntary thing. If you have a madrega, b'tachon is a chiyuv. The Eibishter demands it of us, and in any situation you want, the Eibishter wants us to realize there's nobody to trust, only Hashem. If chas v'shalom we trust somebody else, Hashem says, okay, go to that guy, and it's not a way of punishment. It's in a way of cause and effect. Hashem wants us to only look to Him for our help. Hashem wants us to only see Him as our provider and for everything. And then when we do it, He provides it.
Sholom, what about his second question? Is it possible sometimes people they say they have betachon, but really it comes from Yush. There's nothing they can do, so they just say, yeah, I'm beter Hashem.
I think the answer to that is, again, I think excellent. That's what it does. Like actually, he talks about a lot in Chalal about the people saying things and not being where they're saying. It takes betachon is not betachon. People say I have betachon. Go argue with him. You can say you don't have. You do have. But in order to have betachon, then somebody explains. It's a process. It's a process. If you want to see if it's true or not, you find out. In order to have trust in a person, for example, you need 7 causes. In order to have trust in Hashem, there's 5 hakdamas, there's 5 preferences that you have to have in your connection with Hashem to say that you actually trust Him. Now, the 4th one is the one I focused on tremendously. Is exactly to overcome what you're saying. Some people by giving up, they say, "Okay, I have trust in Hashem." Whatever Hashem does, that again, he's happy. So we're going to argue with him, but inside he feels lost, depressed, anxious, and terrible. He says, "Abatei Hashem says like this: Abatei Hashem will do everything Hashem wants to do. Hashem wants him to do. In other words, he works very hard to do the Ratzon Hashem, the will of Hashem. Take the misses. They put on tefillin every day. They daven a minyan. They have Sholom learning. We're talking about simple stuff, nothing complicated, nothing super sophisticated. Why? Because the same way the B'tei Hashem is trusting Hashem to get him out of the problem. It means the person wants Hashem to do what he wants, so he has to do what Hashem wants. It so it doesn't make sense where a person says he has trust in Hashem and then does what he wants against what Hashem wants to do. So there clearly you see, trusting in Hashem is actually expressed by the way you are actually looking to do what Hashem wants without any saying, because I'm in a different situation, I'm root for heter. I'm in a different situation, I'm doing less than I really want to do. When I get out, that's what I'll forget. You show Hashem, I'm going to do everything you want me to do, and that means Hashem will do everything you want him to do. And so to answer your question, that's a good gauge. Just bringing you around and very clear in words.
You should see how he acts.
See how you act. Are you talking davening with a minyan? Are you looking for a minyan at least? Are you talking having Sholom learning? You don't have to become super righteous. I'm talking about doing your mitzvahs at that level. If you're saying betachon and then you're walking around in the haze, you're not doing it. So that would be a good gauge to know if it's true or not.
Very good. Can we take it a little bit to a little bit of what's going on in the world. We have a question over here. What does Hashem want from us in Golus? There's so much happening in the world. People are scared, a lot of unknown things. That's number one. And what can we do different to connect to the Ratzon Hashem? What can we do now, especially now in the 3 weeks and the 9 days? How do we look at it from a world perspective?
But now you don't want to look. You want to look from the Torah perspective.
Torah perspective, but what's going on in the world to connect to you.
Yeah. I'll listen to Lipschutz if he wants to hit this. I want to say.
You look like you have something on the tip of your tongue.
I do. I'm just kidding. It says, "There's interesting to look at the whole thing. There's like a contradiction there. From one side, we're told we're not going to Tisha B'Av, and we're told we say in davening every Yom Tov, because of our sins we were exiled from there. So if we want to know what we're doing in Golus, we're told because we sinned, so we're exiled. That's Golus and Mechaper. And then Chazal tell us also that one of the reasons Hashem wanted us to go out, if you look at the history now, you don't have to learn Gemara to find out what happened, what's going to happen. You will see what happened. The Eden went throughout the whole world, and every country that we went, we set up yeshivas, set up shuls. You have Torah being learned now in every single country. In other words, we're making the world as a whole. We're bringing Kedusha into the whole world.
Somebody just texted me. A year ago, I watched the show of Sholom, and it caused me to realize I needed to work on this. I hired a chavrusa, and I worked through these inyanim, and it's been a life changer for me. Okay, sorry, continue.
Okay. That's the Usher. So the second Bible Chazal says the reason why we went into Golus is to actually we got a job to do. We're gonna elevate the world. We're gonna go into this country and we're gonna build yeshivas. Well, that country and build yeshivas. And we see that the whole world today, everybody will show you a map of all the Gemara that's being learned all over, all the mitzvahs that are being done, all the shluchim all over the world. You'll see a map over there. The Titzach, right? Thousands of organizations, even all over places you never believed in, and there's even the elevating the place. So which one is it? Is it because we are sinned, or is it because we have a job to do? And this, I think, brings out the point we're trying to say over here in a very interesting way. You're thrown into prison. What are you doing there? Is it because you sinned, or because you got a job to do? And really, there's a merge. You can put them together. In the time of Shlomo HaMelech, the Oir, HaKedusha from the Beis HaMikdash was so great, he can sit in Eretz Yisrael, and his Chachma and his Kedusha was able to shine to the whole world, and everything that had to happen came from a central place, and Malchus Shvo came to him, everybody was coming to him. He didn't have to go anywhere. It's like having a big light, and the light is going out to the whole world and doing what it has to do. Right, and if any people that have to be brought close to Yiddishkeit, they came to him. When we fell down and our neshama became not as bright, and the Eid HaKedusha wasn't there anymore, and so we couldn't reach out. Now the Eibishter has to send us out, and we have to go and do the job. We have to face the darkness face to face. Right, not through Zoom. You have to go. You have to face the darkness face to face. You can't sit in one place. This guy, everyone's sitting in one place, and Beshichta is light in the ganze Welt. Have to go into the Welt and have to deal with the darkness. So, bringing this idea, we see a world today, and we see challenges. For one side, we see this. We see Yiddish Haderis. There's a lot, and it's not our job to talk a bit about Yidden, but there is a betterment to get done, right? On the other side, you see so much Torah being learned, so much chesed being done. So how do you put it all? That's where the question comes, and I think the answer is like this: because of where we stand, and this you see this in Shabbat B'Tochen also. The bigger Baal B'Tochen has to do a lot less Shtadlus, and they get the same results. The less Baal B'Tochen has to face all the Shtadlus, all the steps, until it gets the same results. It's the same idea. So we're being faced with darkness, a building falling down, Rahman al-Islam, and Eden being passing away. From here, from Lakewood itself, today was a funeral, Rahman al-Islam, from a young couple that was there, and then I have own relatives they lived on the 8th, 9th floor. They found them last week, and everybody is touched by it. And then you have other situations. So these are situations from one side, they look so dark and so a question with a lot of questions. But that is exactly what our job is. Our job is to address that with a munah. Who's doing all this? Where is it coming from? Who's doing it? The Eibishter. So obviously the Eibishter is doing it. It's not doing it Hashem to undermine. This is for us to get closer to the Eibishter, to get with a tshuva in a good way, and get close to Torah mitzvahs, and to not to allow these things to say, oh, you see something, so there's another power, something else is going on, with a simcha. And then when we do it that way, then we show that there's nothing in the world that denies Hashem, and then we take it with Zechat HaGolos Shlema. This is what's going on. We are being challenged with darkness, with questions, and the answer is with a munah, everything's from the Eibishter. And the answer is do go closer to the Eibishter, the mitzvahs, and then suddenly everything works out.
Very good. Okay, we have a question over here from a professional. He claims he has a big business, lots of obligations, and honestly, I don't have actual time to give to help other people. He said, I can give money, but I can't be there for others. Should I push myself or feel guilty that I'm not doing acts of chesed besides writing checks?
What's wrong with writing checks?
Rabbi Lipschutz. 1 second. I told you I have a surprise for you tonight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, turn on your video. Let him answer the question. Let's go.
Whoa.
Oh.
No. Say hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Oh.
Okay, last second. Rabbi Penny, first introduce who Gary Afel is. Let everybody know who he is. Nobody knows who he is.
His name is Chaim Yosef Appel. He's a Kapishnitzer Chassid in the Gulls of Los Angeles. And he had the schus to help Sholom Mordechai get out of jail. What more do you have to know?
How many years?
Now he's working to help other Yidden achieve their freedom.
How many years did he work on Sholom Mordechai's case?
I don't know. He didn't bill, so we don't know.
So the question, Gary, is I'm a professional. I have a business. I need to make tons of money. I want to do chesed. I don't have time. So how do I do chesed? Is it okay if I just write a check?
So it's a great question. It's a question that I've faced in my life many times as well. I have to tell you, I'm basically a very lazy person. And when it comes to excuses, I'm the master of coming up with excuses. If anyone wants to come up with an excuse why he or she should not make the effort to help someone else and say, I'll just write out a check or I don't have the time, it's very easy. It's very easy to come up with the excuses. And if you run out of any, call me and I'll give you 10 more. But the truth is that if you are someone who has emunah bitachon, who believes in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, who believes, you don't have to believe this. I mean, thinking it's Tisha B'Av now in the Gullus, you know, what other war was there where the nation would then expel all the people from that country? It's only by us, and expelled us all over the world, as you said earlier, Sholom Mordechai. And then, but now what's the result of that? There's Torah in every corner of the world. But when you think about it purely logically and rationally, there's no basis to say that Yiddishkeit should still exist. It's only because it's the emes and it's a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And the fact is that I was very busy at the time. I'm a corporate lawyer, and I pushed myself in, frankly, to help Sholom Mordechai, because my father's friend of the bracha taught me that when you ever see another Yid who needs help, you should jump in and help. And I must say, I'm a corporate lawyer. The largest transaction that I ever worked on was I led a 500 lawyer team to restructure General Motors about 15 years ago. It's nice. We're about 600 people tonight. The last time that I addressed on the telephone 600 people were the weekly phone calls I had with all 500 lawyers who were working on General Motors, so that we would know where we were and what was going to be next. And I must admit that when we successfully restructured that company. It was a really good feeling, but it didn't come close. It didn't compare in any way to the feeling that I had on Zeis Hanukkah 2017, when I got a call in my office from Chris Grieco, Mr. Apfel. My name is Chris Grieco. I'm the White House Deputy Counsel, and I've been authorized to inform you that the President of the United States has just commuted your client's sentence, and he's free to go home. That was the biggest simcha. There's no comparison. Shamshon Raphael Hirsch tells it to his son in a letter he wrote, and he says, there's tzedakah and there's chesed. Tzedakah is a beautiful thing, but if you look at the shirish of the word tzedakah, it's tzedek. Doesn't mean charity. We translate tzedakah as charity, but it's not charity, it's justice. And why Shamshon First? Why does he say it's justice? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu knows exactly how much money every single person will need to live on for their entire life. And Baruch Hashem, for many people, the Kadosh Baruch Hu gives a surplus, more than what they really need. So it's only justice that if someone who is less fortunate comes to you and the Kadosh Baruch Hu has given you a surplus, that you should share some of that surplus with him. But then he says, but chesed is a whole nother level, because when you give tzedakah, you're giving someone else the means to do something. But when you do chesed, you're doing it yourself. And then he said, and I remembered it that day, Shalom, when I got the phone call from the White House. And when you experience the joy, the simcha of truly helping somebody else, you will want to dedicate the rest of your life to it. So the answer to your question, Coach Menachem, is you want to come up with excuses why you don't have time? Very easy to come up with excuses. But be honest with yourself. And if Rahman al-Litzlan, if God forbid, the doctor told you you have a very serious heart condition and you need to go out and exercise for an hour a day, no telephones, and just go walking, somehow all the excuses about how busy you are and how you have to make money for your family, somehow you would find that hour. And if you can find the hour for that, you can truly find the hour to do chesed to help somebody else.
Beautiful.
Penny, you want to address this one?
Yes.
I want to add one more knich to the question. I want to take it one more level, okay? And I want to Gary and Rabbi Lipschutz. Shalom Aleichem.
No, I was waving. I'm waving to Chaim Yosef.
If somebody
And I'm waving back.
when you give somebody chesed and you help them out, you go out of your way. Does it drain you? Takes away your time from you and your family? How do you, like, I want to do it, but I don't have chavish koiches. How do I do it? Penny.
Okay, so first of all, when you asked the question, I didn't know that Chaim Yosef was in the green room. And I said, what's wrong writing a check? I didn't mean it as a joke. It's true. Many times you need the money in order to get things done. Without money, you can't get things done. And you go to people and they say, I'll help you. I'll make calls. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll write letters. I don't want your letters. I don't want your calls. I want your check. I need your money. Without money, nothing happens. So there are people who are very busy and they're very wealthy. And Baruch Hashem, they write checks. People such as Gary Apfel's neighbor, who everybody knows, Shlomi Yehuda Rechnitz, who writes a check. You can't expect him to get involved in every organization, in every mission, in every chesed, but every person who has a tzara knows they can go to him and other people like him. Baruch Hashem, Klal Yisrael is blessed with such people that they write a check and they help people. And it's because of such people that yeshivas are built, mikvahs are built, chesed is done, people have homes, people can pay rent, people pay mortgages. It's all because of chesed, of people who write checks. Now there are people who could also they're not so busy, or they are busy, but they feel the connection to another yid and they're able to help in other ways. Avada, they should help. When I got involved with Sholom, since Chaim Yosef was talking about what he did, I was also a busy guy, but I felt that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us opportunities in life. And this was an opportunity to save the life of another yid. We don't always have the mitzvah opinion shvuin. HaKadosh Baruch Hu dropped this mitzvah in my lap. And I grabbed it and I ran with it. Many times HaKadosh Baruch Hu drops opportunities for mitzvahs in our laps. A person comes by a person comes from Eretz Yisrael, he doesn't know anyone, doesn't speak English, he has nowhere to go. He told him, go to Lakewood, V'shama Tishal. Over there, you'll get Zechanetzah. And he ends up on your doorstep. So you could tell him, Slicha, ani lo medaber ivrit, or you could tell him, I'm very busy, I don't have time for you, or you could welcome him in, give him a drink, help set him up, and call people, help people, write him a check. There's all different types of opportunities that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us, and it is up to us to grab those opportunities when someone comes that he needs a favor, when we see someone who's suffering, and we know someone doesn't have money for Shabbos, and we write him a check without asking, or we give him cash. That's an opportunity HaKadosh Baruch Hu dropped in our lap to bezak us with mitzvahs. And we should grab the opportunity, and we should do what we can to help another Yid. If it was our brother, like Chaim Yosef said, if it was ourself, that Rahman Litzlan, we had a problem, we would find an Eitzah. So we should find an Eitzah for other Yidden. Now is the time that we reflect that the Beis HaMikdash was chorv because of sinas chinam. The way to bring the Mikdash back, as I'll say, anybody at the Beis HaMikdash was not rebuilt in their day. It's as if it was destroyed in our days, meaning that we, Chas v'Sholom, this is what Chazal say, we are destroying the Beis HaMikdash. Us. What are we doing? Rabbi Shalom, we're such good people. With sinas chinam, the same thing that destroyed the second Beis HaMikdash is destroying the third Beis HaMikdash. So we have to find it in ourselves to overcome that apathy, to overcome the laziness, to overcome that we don't care about someone else because he looks different, or he davens different, or he lives on a different coast than we live. And that way we will build the Beis HaMikdash. Instead of destroying it, we will build it with our maisim, with our chesed, with our tzedakah, with our Torah.
Okay. Shalom, if you can add to this, I want to let you know we have so many live questions. You ready?
I want to say one thing. Both Rabbi Lipschutz and both Rabbi Chaim Yosef not only gave, they did Mesiras Nefesh. They went past the comfort zone. And if you're writing a check, write it past the comfort zone. If you're doing a mitzvah, do it past the comfort zone.
But we're not here to talk about us.
Okay, I'm saying.
Okay, let's go. You're on. Yeah, you. Mendel.
Me? Oh, hey. Didn't realize you were talking to me.
No problem.
Okay. Sholom Mordechai. I grew up with you in Iowa, and I have an interesting question. I was going to ask on behalf of myself, but I could feel like I could ask on behalf of a lot of Yidden that I met around the world, and I've had the chus to be with and hear their unheard voices. So I had an interesting experience that I was just of young age when during the court case, and I was 12 and 13 years old, and we very much felt. We would wake up early in the morning, say Tehillim, and we would drive to the court case sometimes. And we would have your famous Malav Malkas, and we dance. And it wasn't stam just blowing the wind, okay, another Malav Malka. I felt, especially for me at least, I took it very seriously, and I really believed. I felt we were at the cusp of something very great, and that our Tehillim, our L'chaims, which I made every time I made L'chaim for about 10 years. Every single time I would not, and it's hard as Lubavitcher, would not miss mentioning your name to the point that Adayim Azem, my friends always make fun of me as Rubashkin, but I really believed it. And after you went into jail, also my own inner world kind of fell apart. I lost my father, and the community disappeared that I grew up in didn't exist anymore, pretty much the way it was. So my advice, my bechutz from inner and outside, a lot of things fell apart, begashmias. And I've heard you say over the years that you were in a place called prison. And I really appreciate that, and I think people can connect to that. But I have a question like this. You could say that you're in a place called prison when you were developed in a place called home. But what for all those people I wasn't religious as a teenager after Shir Beis Mesifta. I was already out. The yeshivas I was in didn't have the fuel to feed my questions, and out of frustration and out of utter yearning for something better, truer, I went on my own way. Hashkach al Yoina brought me back to trying to live a life of Shulchan Aruch, and I've gotten a chance to sit down with many boys from Lubavitch and from other kreisen, and I think they're all kind of screaming the same thing, that when you're in a place called prison, but the prison's inside of you. How can you get rid of this imaginary fate? It's like an imaginary, it's an imaginary prison. It's a prison of anxiety, a prison of depression, that it doesn't exist. It's not from the inner world, but it's really from the outer world. It's not from the outer world, excuse me, it's from the inner world. And there's this old force inside of us that's Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Adam Ra Min Urav, and Ra'ua, it's crooked, and it's old-fashioned, and it's predictable. And the more you give into it, it's like the more the devil has a say on your behaviors. So for some people that are feeling like this, that, you know, their whole world's a prison, kaviyachol, the way that the eyes that they look out of, they don't have any infrastructure around them, not from family or not from community. What's your eitzah to such people for them to strengthen in bitachon, or really in emunah, and then and really bringing that to bitachon?
Okay, Mendel, first of all, nice to see you. And the answer is, you know, people get caught up in the words you're saying. The truth of the matter is, first of all, you say you're asking from a place called prison, if you come from a place called home. So first of all, home is not a place called. Home is for real. The way I got up, I tell you personally, I was sitting and typing an email one day, and I'm trying to tell my family that even though I'm in prison, that's what I wanted to write, I still feel good, and I've mother b'tach to get me out of here. Everybody should be simcha, and I couldn't get myself to type the words "I am in prison." I couldn't. I remember it very, very clearly, and it was a long time. It was like 10, 15, 20. I typed this way, I typed that way, and finally I came up with this idea. I said, I'm in a place called prison. What was the point? The point is where am I? Who am I? And maybe you heard this, but this is very real. When you say you have an inner prison, you don't have an inner prison. Every yid has an inner. Every person. Every yid is really a ben chayden. We are bonim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We are be'emes free. The Eibusher took us out of Mitzrayim, brought us to Har Sinai. Ever since then, we are free. The Yetzer Hara wants to come and try to cap us and put us into a prison by doing things that's not natural to us, by running after things that are not natural, separating from Hashem, but not making it too much of a speech. The point is, the clarity, and this is the clarity you get from learning. The problem is, when you talk about a lot of people, the problem is what I see today and what I've lived through. People are getting information from other places other than Torah. Torah is emes. Meisha emes, terase emes. The truth of the matter is, every single yid is free, and he can stay free as long as he connects with the Eibusher. He's free. So I felt myself, as far as who I am, my neshama, I'm free. My body happens to be in a place called prison. My body is there, not me. So as long, listen to this carefully. So as long, so you say to yourself, but your neshama is in your body, right? It's important that your neshama stay connected to your body, because if the other choice, then the chas v'sholom is the atzala call. You understand? So you don't want the neshama to leave the body. So how do you put it together? So if the neshama is in the body and the body is in prison, you're also in prison. Not true, because if you live the life of your neshama, if you live the life of Torah and of the Eibusher, means when you do every mitzvah you do, you put on tefillin in the morning, you eat kosher, you keep Shabbos. Not so complicated. You wear tzitzis, you wear yarmulke, and you keep your neshama connected to the Eibusher. So then that picks up your body that also doesn't feel prison. I went through 8.5 years prison, and I saw around me what was going on. It wasn't only I was freed 8.5 years later. Every day I had a sense of freedom that, the guards, they wanted to describe, some guards knew me because they were taking care of the building I was in. Other guys, they heard a ganze tumult, the Rubashkin got out, and the whole circuit is kochenzach. So they came into the place, and some of the guys told me later, I heard from some guys, that they wanted to know, who's this Rubashkin guy? They said, the guy, the guy was always happy. That's how they described me. Remember the guy that was always happy? What do you mean I was always happy? I promise you I wanted to go home every single day. I was never happy to be there. What kind of a sugar? I was kind of surprised. I never cared to know how they look at me. But now I found out that inner happiness came from that inner feeling that I am fulfilling my purpose in life. And what I was thinking about before may have sounded a little bit, maybe more than for such a show, more like a speech. But the point is, when you live with your neshama, when you actually feel your life has a purpose, there's a creator and his creator is with you, I'm not alone, the Eibush is with me, suddenly you're happy for doing what the Eibush wants you to do. It could be hard, it could be very hard, and it could be like you're working in a gold mine and you're sweating because there's no air conditioning there, but if you're doing what the Eibush wants and the Eibush is happy with you, there's no greater happiness than making the Eibush happy. What could a person do to make Eibush happy? Nothing he can think of, but when Hashem says, do this, and you do it, and you know Eibush happy, so Hashem gave me my job was like this, 18, 20 years, I had to be busy helping and building a business. And it was a good feeling building a business. I came to Postville, there's nothing there. We built a community with over 100 families. We built a business of 1,000 people against all odds. It was mamash. We got into all the stores. People were after us when we started. They said never work. But Hashem, it worked. We're doing good. And mitzvah trask. You know, trask means in English. The whole thing was smashed. I mean, the smithereens. I couldn't do anything right. Suddenly, 18 years is working, and suddenly I can't do anything right. And not only that, I went to physical prison. And then it hit me. Don't become anxious. Who's doing all this? Once you can identify who is doing it, ask them, why would Eibush do that to me? And the answer is, Eibush loves you, and Eibush not trying to beat you up. Eibush wants you to tackle this darkness and to prove that even in this darkness, you remain the same Yid. And Mendel, that's what you experienced also. And so everybody goes through everybody, they're upset and they're angry and they're this and they're that, and they try to use English terms to quantify. They're trying to get a Jewish situation quantified the Goyish term. Doesn't work. What's going on is we are truly free, and it's simple to be free. Be yourself, be a Yid, and you'll see suddenly you'll have a feeling of Milchah Nefesh. Suddenly, yeah, you have to learn. I was talking about learning because when you learn, you're able to logically understand what you're doing. So by mail you can do it with more feeling, but ultimately it's really doing that mitzvah. I Baruch Hashem. I had a lot of fights, but I never fought for nothing. I never got 8.5 years. I never got a shot. I never got one complaint. Chaim Mason was smiling here. He was able to say that I am Mordechai. You imagine? I live to be a model prisoner. Yeah. I say, kukuriko. He's arguing. I always wanted to be the model prisoner. I was not a prisoner. And they meant nothing. I learned from the Rabbi. They meant nothing. I realized I'm there for one reason. She wants me there. So I have two choices. I can go through this. I watch people. I can try to find some food that was good and try to fix up my food that tastes better. And I can try to find a good friend and watch a show here, there. I can try to find bodily things to do. Anything you're doing is going to be in prison. You're going to be deeper and deeper and deeper in prison. And what's the solution? They'll take the psychiatrist and they'll give you drugs. I watch guys that were whole life, they're in there for drugs, and they're standing on the drug line to get some more drugs. They talk about a world gone wild, you understand? That's the answer. But you take a drug. They gave me, when they first threw me into jail, they gave me for a week or 2 weeks of this. I said, I don't want to take it no more. I was no shara b'tachon. I wanted to have the clarity of mind what's going on, and I wanted to think positive, and I didn't want to, not positive. I wanted to know that Hashem was with me. Once I knew Hashem was with me, everything else made no difference. How do I know Hashem is with me? Because I was with Hashem. It's very simple. It's really very simple clarity. The problem, I'm listening to you, you're bringing up problems. You bring words and terms of non-Jewish ideas into a Jewish situation. So we have to back up. And I guess this is not the format for it, but I welcome you to call me. But we use terms that really belong in the world of non-Jewish into the Jewish terms. And then we try to answer a Jewish question with a non-Jewish answer. It doesn't work. That's why people are so confused today. The answer is very simple. We are, you say you're in a place, you grew up, and I know you worked hard. People grow up in very hard situations. If you know that every situation you're in is custom tailored what Hashem wants from you. Hashem will never ask you something that you can't do. That itself is encouraging. If you know you have the koyach to do it, and you see yourself in your own life. Once you have to, yeah, let's do it. The Eibster wants, suddenly it's very good. It's very wichtig. And so I was saying I never got one shot for doing anything against the rules, because whatever they wanted, I did. When it came to mundane things, when it came to Yiddish things, If I had to fight, I argued and fought like a lion. If I had to fast a day, if I had to fast 2 days, I brushed him, and that's how it's all the sagas, all the stories. Last time on the show, we were talking about a lot of stories. This time it's a little less, but it's not important. The main thing is, I never missed one day thousand film. I never missed any. I never ate chasham not kosher, and this gave me the clarity of mind, and this gave me the simcha that I needed. There's a guy coming out of prison in a few months. I met him there, finished this thought. Why was I there? I don't know why I was there. I'm not pretending I know why I was there, but I knew as long as I'm there, I'm doing it like a Jew. Not like a Jew. We daven every day out of in the day. Don't bring me to a test. But once you go through a test, if you're given a test, don't do it like a Yid. Don't do it like a goy. The challenge in life you're having is not because this one did anything and that one did anything. I'm writing a book now, okay? Not one name of any prosecutor, any judge is in there. It's not Negeya. It's not Negeya. Only one power, the Eibishter. That's the only thing. And then you have to say, what does the Eibishter want from me? Simple. The Eibishter doesn't want to hurt you. The Eibishter wants you to bring out a power you have within that you never knew you had. That's it. That's the thing. That's the thing of it. So, and I found out that by living with my neshama and going the extra mile, doing the extra mitzvah, eating chol v'yisrael, not davening on time, trying to get a minyan as much as I can, doing all those things like a yid and learning. I had a whole set of learning. That made me the happiness that God saw. That's what they saw. They saw in the happiness. I never knew I projected that. I fought anxiety. I fought depression in a very big way. And so this is the answer. How do you deal with it? It's very simple. You have to know you have a neshama. You have a neshama. And that neshama is connected to Hashem. The way you bring out that connection is through learning Torah. Every time you learn Torah, like Rabbi was saying before, you learn a Gemara, you learn a Chsidus, whatever you're learning, you're connected with Eibishter. You do a mitzvah, you connect with Eibishter. That's a fact. You put on tefillin in the morning, you're connecting your hand, your heart, and your mind to the Eibishter. How it works, I don't know. Not important. Hashem told me to do something, and that's how I'm doing it. So that connect. Now, what happens if you don't want to put on tefillin, chas v'sholom, or you have a heart? So forget it. Do it. Find that mitzvah that you don't want to do, and then do it. That means you're going past your limitations to serve Hashem, and that is exactly what Hashem wants to see. And that's what Hashem wants to see, that you are not say, I do and that I don't do. This I do over here, I do over there, I don't. I'm on a road. I do what Hashem wants every time, all the time, no matter what. You know what Hashem says? When you change your nature to do what Hashem wants, Hashem changes the nature of the world. The nature of the world is set up in a way that got you into prison and people ganged up on you and threw you in there. Now he's going to change it, and he's going to bring people like Rabbi Lipschutz to Southern care, and like Chaim Yosef, and all the Yidden that davened for me, and all the Yidden that gave money for me. I used to sit in the prison and listen to what's going on. I thank you Hashem, thank you Hashem. Who would ever think such things happening? So you're directly see. So in the misery, in the darkness, I saw Hashem with me. So then why am I still in prison? I don't know. So the finish of the story is a guy leaving a few months. I met him maybe a few months before I left. I was free. I met this young kid. And from the first day I saw him, I asked him if he put on tefillin, didn't put on tefillin, I put on tefillin with him. Every day he came to me in the cell. We learned Chumash, we learned Rashi, Aleph Beis. He was an Israeli, so we caught out the Aleph pretty quick. But we learned today is Hashem Tereh mitzvahs, and who knows if that's the reason I had to be to meet this guy. And why I'd have to meet him at the end of 8 years, I'm not sure either. But maybe I have to meet these people before. We don't know why we're going through everything. But one thing's for sure, and this is where we started out the thing. The premise is Hashem creates me. The premise is everything about me Hashem is doing, and therefore everything is good. It's good. After just bringing the good out in a revealed way. And that's B'tachon.
We have 100 questions there.
Okay, we have one line.
Okay.
They don't have all that.
Lipschutz, what time is we speaking, Rabbi Lipschutz?
Okay, finish. L'chaim.
Hi.
Okay, hi, am I on?
Yes, you are.
Okay, hi. Rabbi Rubashkin, I heard you.
No.
Start again. Try again.
Got disconnected.
Okay. Give her a minute. Wait a minute. Unmute again. Okay. Hi.
Yes, she's back.
Hi, you there? All right. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Okay. Now you on mute. Next one.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello, hi. I want to say it's such a zechus to be listening to you. My question is like this. Very often you have that amuna and bitachon cognitively, but you're still feeling that anxiety, that fear. How do you make that connection between the amuna, bitachon, and the knowledge that, from learning that you have to all the feelings that you're feeling?
Okay, so there's two things to keep in mind is that we talked before about knowing who we are. We have Yitzhak, we have Yitzhak, we have the Neshama, we have Yitzhak trying to beat it down. So if we can identify that the anxiety is coming from left field, right? It's coming from Yitzhak. So then that's not to be unexpected. It's not to be unexpected. In other words, when you are learning about Amun and Betachon, that you're okay, and suddenly your feelings don't get so. The second klal is that Moyach Shalat al Lev. Baltania says that the Moyach is Shalat al Lev. The mind controls the heart, and how do you say in Hebrew Nikudah? There's no argument about it. You could run after your heart, but if you ask the Eibishter for help, he'll help you that the mind should overcome the feelings of the heart. So here's how it works. How it works when a person is challenged by feelings of anxiety and by feelings of depression, that's not something went wrong. I think that's very important. Many times, being in such a dark place, I would be challenged by these types of feelings. But I was able, by learning Torah, it gives you clarity. I was able to identify it's not me that's suddenly having an anxiety attack. I'm being attacked from the other goy coming to me and challenging me in a debate. That's what's going on. For me personally, for example, like going to sleep at night in this little tiny cell with another goy sleeping on the top shelf over there. Okay, anyways, was a very so I lay down to try to go to sleep, and sometimes I fall asleep right away. Sometimes I get these thoughts, and the thoughts would start out as simple, pure, logical thought process, which you accept and it's normal to go through. I just spoke today to Gary, and Gary said they filed this motion. And then 5 weeks later, there's no answer yet, or whatever it was going to be. Maybe Gary should have said this, and maybe should have said that. And this question, that question, I'm just giving you a hechatimtza, a possible thing. And then, okay, that's logical, nothing wrong. And then suddenly I feel myself, I can't fall asleep because I got anxious. And I feel suddenly that I'm sliding into depression. I was very, very careful not to fall into depression, because once you're depressed, you're finished. So I hapsach that these thoughts are not being, people think that thoughts are powers. That's not true. That's definitely not true. The same way the Yetzer Tov has its way of thinking and gives you thoughts of Kedusha, the Yetzer Hara has its way of thinking and gives you thoughts of Tumah, or thoughts of things. So when you're getting these thoughts about what you think is parav, is actually a decoy to get you into a thought process that's actually going to pull you down and try to pull you into depression. So I hapsach that this is what's happening. Oh, so what's the point? Knowing that we have this war going on between Yetzirah and Yitzhara, this is the basic thing we learn in Yicheda. So this is what Rabbi taught me in grade 1, so grade 2, grade 3. And Baruch Hashem, I had rabbis that taught me this all the way to grade 55 also, 61. I mean, I never got out of this. This is what it says in the Svarim. So knowing that I'm going to be attacked by Yitzhara, I'm going to be attacked by feelings of anxiety. So I prepared myself that when I get attacked by these anxieties, I will have the answer to those anxieties. What I do, I took in this situation, for example, different types of situations. In this situation, about betachon, about stadlus, about you will have a sefer called Cheves Levavos, Hashar Betachon. That is the bedrock. That is the like the Shulchan Aruch. So I learned by heart these concepts of Shar Betachon by heart, and I started chazening the words of Torah. Torah is Torah light. I started chazening words of Torah, and suddenly the darkness of the Yetzer Hara disappeared. That's what I was trying to say about Amunah and Betachon. You bring Amunah and Betachon into your life, into your situation, no matter what it is, the darkness goes away by itself. We bring a candle into a room, you don't have to fight with the darkness disappears. I started thinking, Achmos and Betachon on the Bahat. That the idea of Betachon is to trust Hashem is going to do what you're asking to do, and etc. All the things, and suddenly I got the calmness I need in the husband. And this I'm just giving one example of how to answer your question, that when you learn, you should know you're learning, and it's not clicking. It's nothing wrong over there. You have, I'm sure Coach Menachem can come in and agree with me on this one. I hope, yeah. And that Me'ach Shalat Lev, you have the Me'ach, you have the learning, and then you can share it on your feelings by directing your feelings to be in line with what you learned in Torah. And then automatically, that takes a little bit of a push, and you got it.
Shkayach, thank you so much. That was very powerful.
Yeah.
Let's try again. Let's see if it works. Let's go. You're on. Okay, I guess your mic's not working. Let's go to the next person. Hi, how are you?
Hey, Baruch Hashem, thank you. I want to try to take this in a little bit of a different direction towards one of the topics tonight, which was how to be there for another in a time of need. So this is amazing material and much appreciated. And obviously it's something for me to work on and internalize. And I was very inspired before by the person who hired a chavrusa to help him on this when they had a challenge. But what if I see someone else that's suffering because someone hurt them very badly? Let's say it's 2 years after the Maisa, they're still in extreme emotional pain, they can't get over it. Is there anything I can do? How do you help drive someone else to this work, to assist them, especially while trying to validate their feelings? Because I know that the teachings here are for every yid and every matzah, but anything I say to them, they're going to feel that I just don't understand how much pain they're in. So what would you recommend as a mahal for me to help someone else?
Rabbi Lipschutz.
Oh, come on. You jumped in and did it.
You do such a good job.
So do you.
Not everybody is cut out for every task. But if you care enough about the person and you're close enough to him and you feel his pain and you understand where he's coming from, just to show him that you care, you have already accomplished something. Just that he's not alone. Many times when people suffer, they feel that they're all alone. And the most important thing is to let them know that they're not alone, that you're there for him, you're there with him. If he needs someone to talk to, if he needs someone to help him, if he needs someone just to sit with him, you don't even have to talk, just let him know that you care about him. You have already accomplished a great deal.
Gary.
I want to give a personal anecdote to what the said.
I'd like Gary to also chime in on this one if possible. Go, Sholom, go.
No, there's a quick. There is, and this is, I don't know if they're watching this or not, probably not, but there's a beautiful skivera chassidim in Monsey. My family lived in the Monsey, and now we're living in Jackson. Rabbi Lipschutz said he's moving to Lakewood. I said, how can I be alone in Jackson? So I came to Lakewood. In Monsey, I meant. So I came over anyways. That was just on a lighter side. But the point is, we were in Monsey, and guess what? There's a family there, and not wealthy at all. So she went around and collected the money. And Thursday night, there was visiting days that used to be Thursday in a place called prison. And every Thursday, my family would come back, and there was 5, 6, not one pizza pie. There was an abundance of pizza for them. So first time my wife came in, she was so excited. I remember living during a quick anecdote, and people are carrying. She has to make supper, and next week again, pizza, and the third week again pizza, and fourth week. So she calls up the lady and he says, "Okay, every week." She says to him, "You're triggered, but you just told me you have to be there with him." He says, "We're going to be sending you pizza until your husband comes home. You have to know that you're not going to be alone." So every week the kids came home and they had a pizza party, and that you know how much it helped. Exactly what he said just now. That you just be there for them. That's what the nice thing.
Gary.
First of all, I just would like to share with everybody what a zchus it is that we have Sholom Mordechai and Rabbi Lipschutz, because these are two men that just don't talk the talk, they walk the walk. And everything that Sholom Mordechai was speaking about earlier, about emunah and bitachon and how to deal with challenging times, I mean, Baruch Hashem, you're out. But I always tell people that the way you see Sholom Mordechai today is exactly the way he was when he was in prison. The only difference was he was wearing that horrible khaki. I mean, I probably came to visit him 10, 12 times over the 5 years that I was working on his case. And we had weekly phone calls. And every call was inspiring for me. It was a chizuk for me because Shalom Martha explained it to me. I remember you were talking about freedom, Shalom Martha. I remember there was one time that I just said to you, I said, Shalom Martha, I think that you're more free than 99% of the people who aren't in a place called prison. So everything you're hearing from Shalom Martha is genuine. It's not now that he's out of prison that all of a sudden he's saying this. I mean, it really is what got him through prison. And Rabbi Lipschutz, we talk about chesed and jumping in when nobody else was there, when Shalom Martha and his family were all alone, always with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, but no other human being was there for them. That's when Rabbi Lipschutz jumped in and made sure that Shalom Martha knew that he wasn't alone, and did it not just by talking the talk, but by walking the walk. He established a VAD that was there to help raise money for legal fees. And in addition, if you know anything about Yated and you go on their website, he devoted a substantial portion of his own business to helping Shalom Martha and making sure that people never forgot the terrible avot that Shalom Martha went through. So it's a schus for all of us to be able to participate in something with both of you.
Yes.
And in terms of, I'm by nature reserved. Shalom Martha will attest to that. And when you see someone that's going through a difficult time, it's very uncomfortable to go over to them because, maybe they just want to be left alone. And if they don't want to be left alone, it's just uncomfortable. But as Shalom Martha was saying before about you have to just struggle with these inner, so that the neshama and the guf are in one. It's the same thing with this, because Rabbi Lipschutz is absolutely right. When someone is in a time of Eis Tzara, right, we say, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Anochi imcha be'eis tzara, right? But to have another person come to them and say, I know you're going through a difficult time. I'm really sorry for what you're going through. I'm here for you. Not only am I here for you, come to me next Shabbos for a Suda. Invite them into your home. What's going on? Maybe there's some way I can help. Maybe there's someone else that I can get involved that can help. And just saying those things and meaning it and doing, like inviting them, as Rabbi Lipschutz said, just that a person knows that there's somebody else out there who cares. I work now exclusively, I'm still with my law firm, but I work full-time pro bono, and I have one client, it's the Aleph Institute. And one of the stories that just really is relevant to this very issue is one Friday afternoon, the Aleph Institute got a call from prison. When you get a call from prison, this is an inmate from a federal prison is calling you. To accept the call, press 5, and then the person comes on. And this person said, I heard about the Aleph Institute. I have nobody in the world who cares about me. I just wanted to pick up the phone and call somebody out there and see if they care about me. And so it's just showing that you care. I mean, what Rabbi Lipschutz said is exactly right. And you will be surprised. I know I was surprised, but then the Kadosh Baruch Hu helps you. You'll be surprised at the things you can do to help people, where things will come to you. You'll be surprised because the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Kadosh Baruch Hu then will lead you to the way to help that person. But the most difficult thing, at least for me always, is the approach. It's so uncomfortable, and that's what you have to get over.
Beautiful. Okay, we have so many more live questions. Here we go. You're on. Hi. Wow, what a powerful share tonight. I think Mashiach is on the way. Okay, I can really just take this to the next level. Wait a minute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, how are you?
Oh, hi. Okay, fine. Try again. Rabbi Rubashkin, I heard you here when you were in Muncie with Rabbi Jacobson, and I was very impressed. Your words stuck with me, and I often wonder, since I heard you, that if people who don't have your background or background of a from Yid in mitzvos and in learning, if they're able to sustain that kind of bitachon that you did, but that's not really my question. That was just something I'm wondering about. What I wanted to ask you was, although you sort of answered it before a little bit, are you able to say or find a reason for what your experience brought you why you were in prison, what this did for you, if you could find a reason for it? And were you able to influence other people in prison while you were there?
Okay, first of all, I really believe that every year, I really believe Hashem will not give a person a test that he can't do. So to talk about your background or not background, Hashem knows all our backgrounds. So I'm just trying to move away from that type of thinking. The moon is the foundation that everything is coming from Hashem. So taking that why do we have to understand why Hashem is doing it? There's an expression that the wise men use that regarding understanding Hashem, and it goes something like, if I would know him, I would be him. In other words, our minds are limited. So to prove what I'm trying to say to you, mitzvos have three types of mitzvos. There's mitzvos that you do understand, and mitzvos you don't understand. And then there's testimonials. So the chukim, for example, and we do them. We eat kosher. The reason why Hashem wants to eat kosher, we don't understand really. Now, we do understand eating kosher, we keep our bodies refined, and the Shema can come through. Shatnez, we can't wear wool and linen. Why? We can't put two seats together. Kilayim. There's a lot of mitzvahs that we do, paraduma, we don't understand, and we do them faithfully and joyously. We can't. Now it's come to the year Shemitah. We can't work the land in the 7th year. Why? It has nothing to do with good farming practices. Chas v'shalom. This is a chukah. The Eibishter wants us from Shabbos, a year to dedicate to him. But the point is, the things in our lives that we do understand, and there are things in our life we don't understand. We do better when we do understand, so we try to understand. So the question a lot of times is, so if I did understand, I'll be better off? Or does my connection with Hashem dependent on how much I understand? So we have a very limited connection with each other. Or is my connection with Hashem in a way of Mesiras Nefesh, which means total given overness. I'm totally given over to Hashem. Whatever Hashem says, I will do. Na'aseh v'nishma is how we got the Torah. So in life, take the same thing into life, and so we have certain things that happen to us because we see the beauty of it. We can see how this pushes away bad things. How we live a moral life, we live a life of apetite. Something we have no idea why we're doing it. In the Seichel, we do have an idea. Hashem told us. So it's precisely those mitzvahs that we don't understand. For a certain degree, we feel closer to Hashem doing those mitzvahs than we're doing mitzvahs we do understand, because the mitzvahs we understand, we may be doing because of ourselves. So a person goes through a challenge in life. He has questions. The first thing to ask, a lot of times your questions get answered simply by saying, who is doing it? And once you know Hashem is doing it, I gotta tell you a story. I was sitting by the Shabbos table 2 weeks ago. Now it's 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. No, because I say this.
Do you know that today is Gimel of
Gimel? Okay, thank you. Okay, Always Gimel. So I was sitting on Shabbos table and I had guests there, young couple, and they had 3 kids, and the father was carrying one kid on his right hand, the other kid is holding in his left hand. And I'm looking in the siddur, and I hear how the father tells the kid, I noticed the kid walked in without a yarmulke, and the father tells the kid, hey, go put with your yarmulke. And the kid doesn't answer. The kid maybe 4 years old. Sorry, 4 years old. He had upsharenish. I say he's 4. So he tells the kid, put on yarmulke, the Shabbos table. And the kid answers more or less something like this: I don't wanna. I want this thing. I don't wanna. And I got a shock. It's like 4-year-old kid said, "Oh." So the kid, the father said, "I'm not drawing attention." The kid says to the father, says to the kid, "Come on, it's a Shabbos table. I don't wanna." The kid keeps on. How many times? 2, 3, 4 times. Finally, I couldn't hear this anymore. I turned around to the kid, and I didn't blast him, but it just came out sort of almost natural. I said, "Who asked you anyways? Hashem wants you to put on a yarmulke." Then I realized what I just got myself into. The father, I'm getting myself into now. Guess what happened? The amazing thing happened is the kid went looking for his yarmulke. He went looking for his yarmulke, and he can't find it. He comes back to his father, and he's asking his father, "Come help me find my yarmulke." This is like, these are those times, and I had a lot of these stories when I was in a place called prison. You see what you learn come to life. A 4-year-old kid, I don't wanna. Who says you have to start discussing with him what he wants? The big 4-year-old child, and the idea is once he hears Hashem wants, Hashem wants for the Yamaka, under the vice. Why'd you tell me that? And he went to the Yamaka. This is the point. When we do understand, we feel good. So now, let's say Hashem comes to you in a dream tonight and tells you why the building fell down and Nebuch, so many people died. You feel better about it. Now you understand? But you understand. So first of all, when you're talking about other people, you always have to try to help. And I can't tell you enough about that. It's not the forum. How much I love the Pinchos and Rabbi, all these people that came, that partial were mamish meisen nefesh themselves to come help a Yid they didn't even know before. Like you said before, how did you know him? Yeah. So the idea that we have to know that we have a munah to the Eibishter, and the Eibishter takes care. So the first thing is get back into a Yiddish way of thinking, and you'll see everything else falls moves falls in place. I hope I answered your question. I don't know if somebody's get talking again.
Sholom, I want to bring a question, but I wanted to tie it into something. Sometimes things work out how I like them and even imagine. Sometimes they don't. I always try to remind myself that no matter what's going on, as long as I'm doing my part and trying to do the Ratzon Hashem, then the outcome is up to Hashem. But sometimes I get worried or anxious when things are out of my control, up in the ear. How could I remind myself that everything comes from Hashem and is orchestrated especially for me? Remember the Maisa with the Chasana? Okay.
I gotta tell you, Usher, let's go to Menachem. I don't see him on there. He's still on the show.
I'm listening.
We have a little sick chabura. We're talking together. So here's the story.
I know the story.
Oh, you know the story. Okay, I'll share it with everybody. The story is an amazing story, and I have another amazing story to tell you how to do this personally. If I have time, maybe you're running out of time, but I have 2 amazing stories to share with you that I did not say last time on the show. So this story like this. Baruch Hashem, I have a daughter. She's married today with 3 girls and one boy. Menachem, healthy kids. So she was, when this whole thing broke out, she was then a young girl of, let's say, 18, 19, I don't remember her age, 19, 20. And then obviously now her father is being dragged through the mud and everything. And like Gary said, our Lipschutz came into the scene. Nobody wanted to even talk to us. It was like a moment. It was a few months there that were blacker than black. And then, so this girl started shidduchim, and I was thinking, who's gonna? So I strengthened my betachon that the Eibishter is gonna help her find the shidduch, even though her father is in jail. Her husband, the first time he met the shver, was in jail. Imagine walking again, Sholom Aleichem. You can, anyway. Now we can watch him laugh.
No, but he was the best jail guy. He wasn't Stam. He was the
model prisoner.
Model prisoner.
Anyway, so this girl was going out with a few boys. You have to find. And my wife was working very hard in between everything. My wife was gesund and stark. She was a pillar of strength. Very strong woman. We both strengthened each other. What got us to? And my wife had heard good things about a certain boy, and she was waiting patiently for a few months. My daughter wasn't going anywhere because this boy is the boy. Since God created the world, there was not such a good boy like this boy, and she has to wait for him. Right? So we waited, and then I called her, and she broke the news to me that the boy who said he's going to give an answer at a certain point, a few months later, answered, not interested. Right? Anybody who's listening knows how shidduchim work. I'm sitting in the barracks, surrounded by 120. I don't want to describe, and I'm listening to this, and I hear my wife's disappointment. And I'm trying to give a chizuk. I say, what are you talking about? Obviously, it's not the right boy. The boy has to find the girl. The boy will find the girl. I have no problem. Baruch Hashem. He rejected it. Okay, good. Right. So she got her wits together, and that's it. What happens later? That happens is this other boy who she winds up marrying. He was in Shiva still. He was working on the Rabbanus, and he got smicha. So we looked at that shidduch, and the first girl he went out with was my daughter. and they both decided to get married, and Baruch Hashem, beautiful marriage. So what happens? This girl couldn't marry anybody else because she had to wait for this guy who wasn't ready yet. That's what happened. So now they get married, and they're coming. So I'm looking out to get out on a furlough to get permission to go be by the chasana. I'm agreeing to go out with my funny suit over there, the khaki suit with the chains. I beat to be by the chuppah of my daughter. Nothing doing. Then I give permission. Rabbi Genak from the OU came to talk. Nothing was happening. So finally, I said, okay, so give me a video call, like now, Zoom. Nothing. They gave me a big favor. They're gonna give me 30. They're gonna give me 30 minutes on the phone, because usually the phone is 15 minutes. I can come to the chapel. I'll call from the chapel phone, and I'll talk. I'll be able to be here for 30 minutes. Wonderful. 30 minutes is better than nothing. So I came to the chapel. Before you make a call, you have to put in your ID number. See, it's a very sophisticated world, the place called prison, and they have to put an ID number. So I start typing the ID number. So they find out, so the lady, the chaplain asked me, what time do you want to call? I said, I don't know, call my family, find out when the chuppah is starting. So she called up, and she found out 5:10, I think it was, 5:10, the chuppah is starting. So 5:10, so I waited. 5:10, she picks up the phone. I'm supposed to type in my ID number. I forgot the ID number. I typed this number in every time I got on the computer, a few times a day. Every time I made a call, I typed inside how I forgot this number is unbelievable. I started sweating. This way, that way. The chaplain said, what's wrong? I said, I don't know, I forgot the number. I said, really? Yeah, I can't. So I went out to try to catch my breath. I couldn't for the life of me. What am I doing now? So I figured the case for guests. I'm saying, all doors are locked. Whatever was made later. Oh, I remember. Come running back into the chapel. I remember the number. I typed in the number. I'm getting on the phone, and I get on the phone. I thought I'm calling already the end of the chuppah. The chuppah was just starting. See, not all chuppah is not going to start on time. The chuppah was just starting. She was getting out of the car, and I got on the phone. And she got out of the car. She couldn't even talk. This poor girl was crying. I gave her chizuk. Baruch Hashem, I'm here. Baruch Hashem, I'm listening. And they should help. It'll be a beautiful marriage. And I was able to listen to the whole chuppah as the chassan. I can only imagine the chassan Kala going around under the chuppah and going around each other. And finally, I could hear all the brachas. My father was somewhere saying the brachas, and everybody doing the thing. The glass breaks. Mazel tov, I hear, and click. 30 minutes are up. So what's the point of the story? Had I remembered the number 10 minutes earlier, I would have heard. I would have heard the whole chuppah. At least there, I was able to hear the whole chuppah. Such a story of divine providence. And this happens to everybody. I mean, you have to open your eyes to look for it. Such a story gave me such chizuk. You have no idea why. You see, Mamash David is with you. How does it work? I should forget a number that I use every single day. I should remember it in the right time as she's coming out of the car crying to give a chizuk, and then she goes, and this 30 minutes is exactly the time I need it till after the mazel tov. So instead of walking around over why I'm not, I was flying high. I went back to the barracks. I got to describe the barracks. The barracks was not it was a scene, you understand, what's going on over there. All the guys, they wanted me to be in the place for 27 years. They put me in with murderers, with all gangsters, sort of gangsters. They're sitting around doing what they're doing. I walk in there, I run to the phone. I can't call back because I just finished after half an hour. Then every 15 minutes I call. I speak 15 minutes, and they get knocked off until 9:30. And 9:30, the shot stop. We get locked in for the night. Point being, how do you get chizuk? And this is also straight out of the Shara B'Tachon. When you see in Pei Gimel, look at that. They have to believe me or nothing. And Pei Bezi says, what the fifth one? When you see how the Eibush, this one who you're trusting, is with you before. And even during you're going through your thing, he's with you and he's helping you. You get a strength in betachon. So I used to make sure that not I saw I'm in let's go prison. The world came to an end. Baruch Hashem, my family is healthy. Baruch Hashem, I'm healthy. Baruch Hashem, the kids are going through school and they don't have to see any psychiatrist. Baruch Hashem, my daughter is getting married. Baruch Hashem, I looked at everything. Baruch Hashem. So who's doing all the good things? Eibush says, Eibush is with me. I'm still stuck in this place called prison. No. So the same way he helped me in everything else, help me also. Why is it taking so long? Because Eibush knows I don't have to know everything. That's a munah. Munah means, that's precisely the word. Seichel logic means I have to understand. A munah means I have belief. And the belief is not because it's beyond. It's a power we have, a real power. The same we have a power to understand, we have a power from the neshama to believe, and the belief is as real or more real than seichel and logic.
Okay.
Answer your question?
More there. Okay.
I gotta tell you one more story. I gotta get knocked off. Yeah, Usher. I gotta tell you one more story. I forgot.
30-minute pin is about to end.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, not joking.
Yeah. If you have another question, then I gotta tell you a story. Listen to this. Usher, you want a story?
Yeah.
This is a winner because this shows you how you take. This actually, I remember this.
Sholom, 1 second. Let's take this question, then we'll do the story. Is that okay?
Yeah. Go ahead. You're the driver.
You're on live.
Hi, sorry, I'm a little bit off topic. My question is, I had some Chushva people which made me a lot of tsar in the past, officially Shem Shemaim, and there was a big movement the past Purim to be moichel everyone, and I took upon myself to be them fully moichel. But for some reason, when I walk into the same shul, or they're the Baal Tefillah or the Baal Koyder or something, the hard feelings against them comes up. I see you see they're very calm, relaxed, and smiling, and comfortable. I want to know how to internalize that betuchen, that nobody else can harm me besides Hashem, and nothing came from them. But how can it be internalized that it shouldn't, even when I meet them, it shouldn't affect me?
You know, all the things you're talking about betuchen is all you can all learn from our holy office. Avraham said, Yaakov, holy Shvatim. Yosef, if you can think for a second that Yosef was able to forgive his brothers for selling him as a slave down to Mitzrayim. Talk about Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef was learning all the Torah from his father. You talk about Yosef HaYosem. He had only his father. These guys take him and leave him. When he meets his brothers, what does he tell them? Loi atem shlochan heina. You do not send me here. Kim Elikim. When you talk about Amunah, and now you're talking about different topics, it's all part of one thing. When you ask yourself, who is doing it, Eibishter? And then you ask yourself, so why did Eibishter want to do it? Look in the Torah. The Eibishter gave us a Torah for a reason. The Torah means to teach us. To teach us. That's what the tests us. So when we look, so that's what the David and the Soyed, the idea that we are tested and we see things that look, they're not like the Eibishter, and we are supposed to say they are the Eibishter. And when we recognize the Eibishter, it's not passive, that reveals the Eibishter is there. Same thing here. I fought with this, I gotta tell you, Tzadik, I don't know what your name is. Your name is Galaxy S110E. So that Galaxy S10E. Yeah.
Ben iPhone. His father was iPhone.
Okay, so Galaxy. I do a lot of people that I could be, and I'm saying this in the sense of encouraging Mechila. And by the state case, I remember there's a guy there that told me that he promises me I'm going to win the state case, which I did. I have to be Mechil everybody, or I have to ask other people Mechila. I'm sorry, the other way around. That is Mechila, and I ask other people Mechila that who knows why a person goes through the Torah. We have an obligation, but this is the other way around. This we're talking now about. We have to be Mechil. If somebody does, if a munah means that everything happens is with Eibishter. The Dafa means nobody can help me, nobody can hurt me if it's not for coming from the Eibishter. So I ask myself, I can be Mechil that guy. That guy, if that guy, he could have said the truth and he got to understand and he shut up suddenly. We'll say to myself how it happened. It was hard. It was hard for me, but I worked on it. And it took a while. It took a while. It went in layers. It took as Coach Mendel says, it's a process. So first I was able to forgive those guys. That is it. Then even those guys that I would have called Mamzedim, who could have, they were trying to save themselves, so they wouldn't say the truth. And by that they were putting me in the. So I finally got to the point. I forgave every single Yid that ever did anything to me. And I maintain that. And that's the way, that's why Yosef teaches us this midah of Mechila. When we believe, he did nothing to you. If Reuven comes over to Shimon and punches Shimon in the face, yeah? So Reuven chose to punch Shimon in the face, he has to pay him for damage. But Shimon can't get angry at Reuven because the Eibishter didn't want him to get punched in the face. Reuven couldn't hurt him. How could Reuven hurt him if he wasn't going to get hurt? Reuven has to think, why would Eibishter want me to get punched in the face? Maybe it's a kapara. Maybe I have to tshuva. I have to get closer to the Eibishter. I have to mitzvah behidder. Maybe I shamed somebody, so I got punched in the face with that. I don't know. I mean, everybody, each person should think what he did and come close to the Eibishter. That's the mid of Mechila. And I got to tell you something. This is the most liberating. First of all, it's the Yiddish Azach. And when you do it, suddenly all the pekalach and all the ekalach that you're carrying around, and this one, that one, you throw it off. You're only with Eibishter. And you thank the Eibishter for whatever happened to you. You thank him because whatever he did to you, you think it looks bad. It's good. It's the best thing that happened to you. And I can tell you weiter stories. Together with that, how good it is, the massive in, the Eibishter wants you. If you think it doesn't look good to you, you need children, you need panosa, you need to get out of jail. Daven to the Eibishter with the betachon, the Eibishter get you out of jail, and that's the Jewish way.
That's a good closing.
Huh? No, I got to tell a story.
One more question, then a story, and then another question I have to ask you, and then we're going to go to closing. Sorry, I'm asking for a personal time.
Last year went to 1 o'clock.
Rabbi Lipschutz, he says it's Laila. That's it. Okay.
You can
You're on live.
You have to say your story, though. You didn't say the whole story.
Oh, we're going to get there. We have time.
Next time.
Okay, what's the question?
Sarah.
Okay. First of all, thank you ever so much. This is absolutely amazing. I can understand how to handle Emunah and B'tachon when it comes to Gashmias Neshenes. I can even understand Emunah and B'tachon if, let's say, my child has a learning disability and it's hard for him to learn. And I can understand Emunah and B'tachon that Hashem wants my child to work much harder in order to be able to serve him. One place I have a very hard time processing this Emunah and B'tachon is when it's kulai ruchnius, like if my child is off the derech. I can process it for myself, what Hashem wants out of me to handle that my child is off the derech. But how can I process this Emunah and B'tachon b'negei my child?
That's an amazing question, and I'm humbled by it. It's not the hardest thing because this is way beyond anything that any parent should want to go through. But then again, if you had a part in the type of neshama and what the child has to go through, then you could be distraught. But when we realize we're the generation right before Mashiach, it seems like people have to come here and I have a special needs child myself. I mean, not exactly what you're talking about, not exactly about Ruchnius, more Gashmius, but the same idea. Why our children today are so challenged is we don't know, but what we do know is that we have to maintain that even though it looks so black, and so we have to trust Hashem, He's awakened the neshama of the boy or girl, and the boy or girl will come back. And it's up to us really to project that to the child and think, what Yiddish things can you tell the child or do for the children and speak to the children that maybe you haven't said before? I don't get blame anybody, but maybe what can you do that you realize that this child needs to hear? And I believe today, because there's so much confusion, we're going to non-Jewish answers. And I believe that's a terrible, terrible mistake we're making, because every answer we have, I'm saying from experience, I'm saying this from learning, I'm saying this as a Yid. Every question you have in life exists in Torah. All you have to know is where to look. And the Torah is real embassy. I tell you, just one kudah. Torah, unlike wisdom that tells you how things work in the world of this creation, Torah actually affects the world. When I talk about Emunah and B'tachon affects the world, Torah is the boss of the world. When we find a thing in something in Torah that we can apply to what we need, to that midah ra, how to change it to midah teva, to Emunah, to take away the kids wandering. When we go to it as a Hashem, we talk to him in Yiddish Isis to talk to the neshama. That is not only the wisdom that Torah gives us, it's also the koyach the child needs to overcome his Yetzer Hara. So we as parents, I'm a parent also, as parents, we have to know that even if we did everything right, my parents told me the same thing, nobody signs up, nobody gets the child they asked for. The child they asked for is given to them. We have to be the right caretakers and do the best we can for the child. But I beg with a Yiddish way. There's such tzaras today. We brought in the Yevonim into the whole educational system, and I know I'll get a lot from this format for saying this, but I'll say it unashamedly. It says about B'teach is not ashamed to say the truth, and I'm not saying it because I have anything. I can't, but I can tell you one thing. What got me through 8.5 years of the worst Gehenna, and I'm not alone. I have a wife, Baruch Hashem. I have 10 kids, Baruch Hashem. I have 8 Baruch Hashem, and I have a father and mother, Baruch Hashem. Simply, I did one simple thing. I spoke with a Pinchos on the phone. I looked in the Torah what Hashem wants from me. As soon as I had the clarity what Hashem wants from me, and I went with it. And Baruch Hashem, it always came out. It changed the matzav. Torah is the boss on the world. They just looked at Torah and created the world. You want to change the situation? Find the answer in Torah. And that will not only give you the answer what to do in the world, it will change the world for you. That's what I wanted to say. So they should help you. You're asking how. Emunah means understanding that the Eibishter gave you this child. The Eibishter gave you this pure neshama, and this neshama has to go through. You know, the boy that called him before. If you knew his trip, I didn't see him a long time. I saw him when it was postal. He said himself on the phone, so I don't have to be ashamed. He went through a very, very hard time. You saw him on the thing. He's back, Hashem, the mitzvahs. The Eibishter woke him up. He said it himself. If you knew what he went through, he mentioned it in the fleeting sense. So this is what we need. We have to awaken the neshama within. Our neshama is powerful, not because we're powerful. When we're connected with Hashem, we have the power of Hashem to change everything. So that's what Emunah really means. Emunah means not thinking we're at fault and not beating ourselves up and not thinking everything that happened until now had to happen this way. It couldn't be any other way. Now that it happened, what does Hashem want me to do here? To be besimcha, to taven to the to do mitzvahs with the Mesiras Nefesh, and you'll see suddenly the child is chawuvecken. And I gucked on it then, Jewish life is beautiful.
I have one more question directed for Rabbi Lipschutz, and then I'm ready to go to closing. You want to say the story first, Rabbi?
No, Rabbi Lipschutz.
Okay, this question came in, and I think Rabbi Lipschutz could take this one. I got involved with a friend of mine who's going through a very bad divorce. It's a messy divorce. I started inviting him for Shabbos just to be a friend for him. I'm getting a lot of slack from people not to get involved and don't be a friend for him. But I know he really needs it, no matter what happened. Please give me some advice and some chizuk to continue being there for him.
I don't know if you saw, but I turned the camera off. I don't remember anymore what point Sholom made that I remember that I have this letter from Reb Zundel Kreuzer.
Oh, wow.
Reb Zundel Kreuzer was a big tzaddik. He lived in Yerushalayim, and I had the skill to be close to him. So there was a story that happened, and he wrote me a letter about that story. And in there, he mentioned, someone told him that I was working for Sholom Mordechai, and it was a long time, and nothing was happening. So he writes like this: whatever, I leave out the adjectives. V'ashrei chelkai, v'gam b'ma shelo hitzlichu ma'asav l'shacharei. This, that the things you did, and Chaim Yosef and Yoeli and Shlomo Leizer and all the thousands of people contributed for Sholom Mordechai's release, and your ma'asim didn't accomplish what you wanted them to accomplish. Avol schorei shomer b'shamayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu keeps cheshbon, and bleibt nit abal chayf. And your schar is waiting to you in Shemayim Mimal. Ve'ein onu yodim kavshei derachmana. We don't know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu does what he does. To us, sometimes it doesn't make sense. To us, people criticize us for doing what we do. They say, how could when okay, I don't want to talk about myself, but when I start, people say, you're crazy. You're going to ruin the Yated. You spent so many years building it up, and now you're staking it on this Ganav from Iowa. You don't even know what's the matter with you. And we always have that type of nisayon. And like Sholom Mordechai said before, when you get an urge not to do something, not to do the mitzvah, not to do Pidyon Shvuyin, not to do Azav Tazav Imai, then you should know it's coming from the dark side. It's coming from the Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara always says, don't do it. Don't write the check and don't go out. It's late, it's cold, it's hot. There's always an excuse not to do. And when you do something, sometimes you don't see a good result and you get frustrated. And the answer is, Ein anu yoidim kavsh manu. We do what we do, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what we're doing. And the people nabuch with such children that are up from weg, what could you do? You could daven. What could you do? You could know that the child has bechira to come back. What could you do? You could love that child. That's what they say today. Love them and show them the Eibishter loves them, and they'll come back. Give them a place to come back to. Now, I know Sholom has a story. I have a story. It takes almost as long as his stories, and then we won't be done in Chatzoi.
So fine, 10 more minutes.
Okay, no, I'm not in a rush. Let's hear the stories. But again, we have a closing afterwards with not a closing. For Chizik. So
I'll tell you a story.
Let's start with Lipschutz story.
I have a friend. His name is Tzvi Schwartz. He lives in Rehovot. He works for Leib La'achim. He's a volunteer, and he's from the Lamivav Tzadikim in the Dor. He got money from the government to help Russians when they came to Eretz Yisrael. A lot of them came to Rehovot. He got money to help them get established in a ulpan and a ganze Zach. So what he did was, he took the money and he decided that he's going to pick the Russians that have the potential to be frum, to get reconnected to Yiddishkeit, and he was going to make a kollel for them. And he thought it was a great idea. And he went to Rav Shach and he said, Rebbe, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to make a kollel and be mekar of these Russians because the other one is stam, it's a waste of money. And Rav Shach said, don't do it, because these people, they were pining the Russia for dairis. They had Yiddishkeit ripped away from them. They were never exposed to it. They never had the opportunity to know what Yiddishkeit is. But if you will teach them what Yiddishkeit is, once they get established, and once it comes time for their children to go to school and they start thinking about their future and their present, if you teach them Yiddishkeit, they'll have what to come to. If you don't teach them the basics of Yiddishkeit, they'll never have a place to come back to. You need to provide a place for people to come back to. People need a home. They go through rough situations. They feel themselves that they're alone. They're on the street. Nobody cares about them. Yiddishkeit is no good. Hashem hates them and all that kind of stuff. Teach them, show them some love, show them that there's a place for them in Yiddishkeit and they'll come back.
Unbelievable. Wow. Okay, let's go to closing. Hopefully Moshe comes back. Well, yeah, so we're going to go to closing. I'd like Gary to go first if possible, just to give a little chizik for them before Tisha B'Av, followed by Rabbi Lipschutz. And then hopefully Moshe comes back, if he gets back in time.
He left at 12.
Okay.
I actually would like to also answer.
Oh, you want to answer the question? I'm sorry. Yeah.
I would like to answer that question about the person that was in a messy divorce. Is he still on the phone?
He sent in an email.
Oh, so is he on the phone? Because if he's not, then
he could be. Yeah, he's on the phone. Let's say he's on. Yeah.
Okay. So,
he's helping the friend.
I understand that I have gotten involved now in several messy divorces trying to help people also. So I know what it is. And usually in our world, when you hear it's a messy divorce, it's because the husband's refusing to give a get. That's usually a buzzword. It can be other issues, but usually that's what it is. So I also have a story. There was a Rav here in LA about 28 years ago now, who got in some very serious legal trouble. He was also a male. And my wife gave birth to a boy, and Baruch Hashem, he was on time, and I wanted this Rav to be the male. And my father's friend of Racha was here in LA, and he got a phone call from somebody. He said to him, your son's crazy. He's going to make this man the male. People aren't going to come to the bris. This man was in very serious legal trouble at the time. My father told me the story at the Upsharon. He didn't tell it to me at the time of the bris. I said, Daddy, what did you say to him? He said, listen, the chiyuv of Mila is actually Gary's chiyuv. He really should be doing the bris himself. If he feels he's not able to do the bris, then he has to pick for himself whoever he thinks is the most ra'i shliach. I have nothing to say. That's what my father answered. When I didn't know this at the time, the Kapitchnitzer Rebbitzin, Aleha Sholom, was here at the bris. And I'll never forget, she came over to me right after the bris and said, what a schus for this baby, that you were able to do such a ma'aseh chesed, that someone who is a pariah in the community, who's been looked down by everybody, and you were able to give him such a kibbut and to raise him. So my answer to this man about the friend is, I always tell my children, it's always good to get hear other people's opinions, to understand all the issues before you make a decision. But Baruch Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu gave you a brain and gave you a heart. And after you've heard all those things, if you believe it's the right thing to do, and certainly someone who is without a friend because he's in the middle of a messy divorce needs a friend, then you do it and don't worry about what people say. The schar will come from the Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Beautiful. Rabbi Rubashkin, do you want to say that story from before and then we'll go to closing?
Yeah, I think it's such an important story because I think it brings out the idea of learning Shai B'Tachon about what B'Tachon is and then acting on it. I think that's the key. And acting, we talk about how we find out that doing mitzvahs, the B'Tech Hashem does mitzvahs because the Eibishter wants him to do so. B'Tech Hashem is not afraid. B'Tech Hashem knows he's with Hashem, Hashem is with him. So there's stories like this. In this place called prison in Otisville, there was a visiting room. And this visiting room, Gary was there, and Lipschutz was there. He said he was bothered him so much you couldn't. He was
no, but Shalmartha, when I came, they gave us Shalmartha. When I came, they gave us, the fancy facilities. We always had the private room.
Your private room. He's saying it sarcastically. Anyways, so this room, the right of this room was that unlike in the jails where they had to visit across through the window, yeah. So here we were able to set the family together. And for me, like every Friday, my wife and she used to bring the kids over. It was family time. My youngest kid that was 4.5 years old. And he was looking at his father. What do you remember? The father wearing a khaki suit, and for him, he couldn't understand how come at the end of the visit I wasn't coming with him home for Shabbos. It was very, very emotional. On the other hand, it was a good time to get to bond. So every Friday will come. Now the way they have it is they have a month has usually 30 or 31 days in the English calendar, and they have and it flips around how many weeks, how many Sundays. Every Friday costs you a point, every Monday costs you a point if it's not a legal holiday, and every Sunday costs you 2 points. So you do the math, they give you 12 points. If you do the math, you can't really have a visit every single day. You can only have sometimes. So the Eibishter helps, but again, there's a lot of parts of the story, but to get to this ma'aseh is the Eibishter helps. One of the guys, the officers that was in control of this room was somebody that I found out by talking to him that he was willing to give me extra points. Nothing under the table, very open. I came to it with a paper request. I need extra points, and he'd give it to me with a t'nai that if the room filled up, I would leave. That was a t'nai. He was a logical person. Hopefully he's healthy. He's a logical person, and he said that as long as the visiting room was made to visit, the points was only a way of crowd control. It wasn't meant to stop. So as long as the crowd is controlled, I'd go. So every time I needed extra points, I'd go to him. And to the side, I was wondering when his patience would wear out. He always signed the paper. I had to go to the counselor. The counselor had to put it on the computer, so the computer guy knows that I have extra points. And that was it. Baruch Hashem. Now it's the year 2000. This is already 2010, 11. No, it didn't start 2010. Whenever it started, 11 or 12, it moved itself all the way to 2017. Somewhere in 2017, the counselor finally gets frustrated with me. You always come with me, the extra points. You get a better treatment. I'm tired of this. I said, I have a signature. This is you have to do it. He says, why did you go ask him for a whole year permit? So I said, no problem. So I go to the officer. I tell him, listen, the counselor says I should ask you for the whole year, whatever was left then of 2017. Let's say it was. Let's say May, June, July, August, October, November, December of 2019. I made a cheshbon how many points I could, in the worst case scenario, I would need. I think it was 5 or 6 points a month. Give me 5 or 6 points a month. And then also they had a limit how many kids can come in. I asked for extra children, for the grandchildren to come in. Anyways, Machaya, I got this pass. This was mamash a lifesaver. I got to tell you. So just to tell you, it wasn't only for me. I opened the door, but Baruch Hashem, he did it for every other year, maybe even the good that asked for it. They got it. So, why am I telling you the story? Yoshua was wilder Rubashkin with the mice. I'll tell you what happens. So now I find out if the years are getting convenient, talk about Seged Git, it's going good. And after years of getting used to this, I can have a visiting day every day I need to. So Machai, it was like a cup of fresh air Friday, and then you go back into the swamp for Shabbos and Sunday, and then Monday a little fresh air, and then I gotta slide through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I find out that this captain, the rumor had it, the captain is leaving, which makes sense because he's an older guy, and so now I had a problem. Usher had a betachon problem. Do I go over to the guy and ask him to give me, because now it's getting closer, I hear, Mr. You're leaving for 2018, so do me a favor, give me now a paper for 2018. That's logical, and he would have done it. But my problem was learning how to betachon. Two problems. First of all, do I really believe that he has given me the points, or David is giving me points? So if he leaves, I won't get the points. Nah, the contact you have in the bank, that guy, he signs over all the loans you need. That lawyer, Mr. Lawyer, lawyers are the best. But that contact guy in the White House, that guy is gonna get me the thing, or the Abish is doing it for me. The Abish should put the guy there. So if I'm gonna go over to this guy and ask him for points, I'm believing that somehow he has something to do with this. And I learned the Shana B'tochen, you're not allowed to be mishatef anybody in your hishtadlus. Was it that? I had a dilemma. I had a dilemma. Another dilemma I had, you're preparing yourself for 2010. I'm telling Gary every week on the phone, and then I'm going home today. So what am I preparing for 2018? I'm going to find out who needs it. Aber forte, stadless. I can sing another song also. So right away, I was busy. I got to tell you something. Some days it was easy, and some days it was harder. I think it's even possible. My mama once sat down. I don't know if I wrote it out. I think I once sat down to write out the question. That had Michigan. You out of your mind?
Wow.
We talk about passive emunah and betachon, yeah? You do something, and as the Baral says, you do something, that itself could be a problem. I'm going to ask to say, oh, you want to be comfortable to that? Go ahead. I strengthened myself, and I want to tell you openly, it wasn't easy. Some days it was easier, and the best way to build the Yitzhahara is to do what he does for you. Push it off. You want to learn, you want to start a good Seder. So you said, so what you said, for sure, excellent idea, tomorrow. So whenever I got in such a corner in this issue, I couldn't handle this. I said tomorrow, there was the tomorrow. Anyways, June came, July came, September came, October came. I missed a month of it somehow. And it's getting close to 2018. And Baruch Hashem, I was in Venezuela. I never went to ask him. And December 20, 2017, Hashem said, get out of here. And I got out. Now, chas v'sholom, who knows if I would have gone and asked for the permission to have visit points for maybe chas v'sholom, that would have been hurt my ability to be there. So I want to bring out the story because everybody always talks about the things that we do for Amun B'tochen. We have to realize that Amun B'tochen is for real. And when we hear mices happening in Yisrael, to here and America, whatever it is, we've strengthened our Amunah from the Eibishter. The Eibishter is Tach HaTeiv. So we have to do tshuva and get closer to the Eibishter. We have to do more behidde, be more besimcha. The Torah want to put you into building. I feel so bad in order to what's your response? Not to learn. That's exactly why you're feeling bad. You're not feeling bad because you're supposed to feel bad. So here's a story I have to share with you. That 2000, I have the paper, by the way. I have the paper in my files. And Baruch Hashem, I never went to the guy to ask him for paper. And Baruch Hashem, I stayed strong. And Baruch Hashem, I'm here to speak with you on your wonderful show. And David Shabben Shavaita Shem Chazik Eden with Amun B'tochen.
Okay, let's go to closing. Okay.
Closing.
One second. I'd like Gary to say a few words, followed by Coach Menachem, Gary, Rabbi Lipschutz, and then Rubashkin before we go to Tisha B'Av. Again, a gracious credit for Rabbi Lipschutz, Chaim Yosef, Gary Appel, and of course, Sholom Rubashkin coming on tonight, giving so much chizik. We talk about all the Hashkacha Pratis. You understand? Again, like I said, Sholom, we had no idea when we scheduled this about Erev Tisha B'Av. Rabbi Lipschutz came on Wednesday. It was the last minute. And by the way, just in case one of you guys want to know,
she said,
in case you guys want to know about the surprise, I got on the phone call with Gary Appel on Thursday. I didn't know who he was. And then I found out he was Rubashkin's lawyer, and I asked him to come on. It was all happened Thursday. So it was totally the weirdest thing, right, Gary? Totally the weirdest thing. So Hashem wanted to share
Ashkacha
Ashkacha Pratis, and we spoke about Ahavas Chinam. We spoke about being there for another Yid. We spoke about everything that we could be ready for Mashiach. So then, Rubashkin, I'm ready. Okay, so again, everybody who's watching tonight, every Sunday night at 10 o'clock, the Zoom share, we have different abundant, different topics. We have tremendous things coming on. Tonight's share was sponsored by Recovery at the Crossroads. Recovery at the Crossroads is the only inpatient treatment center in the tri-state area. They are a licensed co-occurring treatment facility, which means they are licensed to not only treat substance abuse, but also any other underlying mental health conditions such as anxiety, depression, trauma. As Rabbi Sholom says, all goyish zachen. But if you have the goyish zachen, you call them. If you or anybody else is struggling with addiction, feel free to reach out to them at 888-466-5950, 888-466-5950. I just want to clarify, everybody, next Sunday is Tisha B'Av. Coach Menachem put together 3 amazing speakers. It's a pre-recorded session. They're going to be sending it out via email. It's going to be Reb Gershon Schaffel from Skokie, Illinois, Reb Heshi Kleiman from the Praying with Fire books, Reb Daniel Gladstein, who's probably the biggest genius that I know. We're going to be speaking all about Tisha B'Av Meises. It's going to be unbelievable. And we're going to be charging Menachem. How much are we charging for this year?
So MenachemBernfeld.com.
We're charging how much? How much? $100 for this year? How much is it?
They should check it out.
Priceless.
$0. So we're going to be sending it out. We'll also be having Menachem the following after Tisha B'Av, a special edition Tuesday, July 20th, with Shlomo Bachner discussing priceless dreams of building generations, an open conversation with him. It's going to be an amazing. Please tell everybody to join. Everything tonight is recorded. It's going to be tomorrow Menachem on www.menachembernfeld.com. If you have any questions, please email coachmenachem@gmail.com. We will forward it to all the people or anybody you want to get in touch with. Tonight's share is share number 63, and it's going to be up on our phone number. We have our own phone number. It's 848-777 Rubashkin. No, I'm sorry. It's 848-777 GROW. And it will be there Menachem tomorrow afternoon. I want to thank all our advertising sponsors for promoting us. First, the Lakewood Scoop over here in Lakewood for always promoting us. Our home base is Lakewood. Rubashkin's home base is Lakewood. Rabbi Lipschutz home base is Lakewood. Gary, when are you moving to Lakewood?
I was there 2 weeks ago. I'm very happy in LA, Baruch Hashem.
I want to give a special thank you to Rabbi Anif from Chazak for promoting us on the Chazak platform. A special thank you to Mrs. Mika Sover from COL Live for promoting us in the Chabad community. And a special thank you to Chayla Kaufman and Shmuel Summer from JCN, to Jewish Content Network, for always promoting us on all the Jewish platforms. Let's go to closing. First, Coach Menachem, give a divrei chizuk for Tisha B'Av, and then we'll go turn to Gary.
It was very powerful to see Emunah B'Tachon in process. Like tonight, we were able to see from all different angles, from people Ahavas Chinam and from people who had to walk the walk, like we heard. I just want to mention one thing, like we mentioned before, that it's a process. Basically, what we're discussing, Emunah B'Tachon, the ultimate level is real bittul. It's like, I don't understand, and I want to understand. And things are not working out the way I understand. So we have a hard time. So we heard tonight, we have to mechazik ourselves that we're not the one who runs the world. Hashem runs the world. And we don't understand. But we have to realize that we're humans. And us humans, we see with our human eyes, and we need to understand. It takes a time, and it's a process to get to a matzav where sometimes when people hear Rubashkin talk, it sounds like a malach. Like, whoa, how do you get there? Which it takes time with the chizik, and we see things that we don't like, and it's hard for us. And I think it's okay to say, Hashem, this is something I don't like. It bothers me. I know I should be trusting in you, and I do trust in you, but I still don't like it. And that's okay, because we're humans. And like we heard, the callers call in, whether it's upbringing or it's to be Michael, somebody who was ba'aveled you, to say is good. Yes, so logically we understand. But like we said, it's a process. It's okay that it takes time, and we have to know how the layers that it takes. Because at the end of the day, to get to that matzav of bittul, to say, nothing to do with me, and I believe everything Hashem does is good. Yes, I do believe. I don't see it, and it's hard for me to feel it, and it'll take time. Hashem, please help me get there. So Hashem should help us all in Mitzvah Hashem, that we should, everybody in our own matzav, that we should be able to rely, b'teach, emunah b'tachin Hashem, and whatever it is, to say thank you Hashem. And the most important thing is when it does work out, when we do see things the way we want, let's put some koiches in that. Please connect in those things and make a matzav out of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach Menachem. Beautiful. Before Gary speaks, I just want to say one thing. Gary, be mindful beforehand, but I just have to say it. I want everybody to understand who's watching the show tonight. Gary Pell is a huge lawyer that was charging, I don't know, can I say? Charging close to $2,000 an hour for services, and he dedicated over 5 years of his life to helping another Yid that lived across the country with such dedication. I don't know what words to say for such a person. So Gary, from your words, please, before Tisha B'Av, give the oil and the chizik they need to love a Yid the way you did. Give it over.
You know, I have to tell you, it's really simple. I remember Sholom Martha, you talk about love. When I got the call from the White House, they gave me the telephone number of the warden in the prison. You never get to speak to the warden. And Sholom Martha was already in her office, as it turned out. And I spoke to him on the phone, and I just said to him, there's no words to describe the simcha that I have and how much I love you, because of all the things that I learned from Sholom Martha in all those horrible years, really horrible years, but Baruch Hashem. But I must say, Hashgacha Pratis is real. It's real. You hear about, it's one thing, we read the Megillah Esther, we learn Maseches Megillah, and we say, okay, but yeah, that was then. But this is the world today. But the emes is, the truth is that Hashgacha Pratis is real, and we're obligated, really obligated, to see the Hashgacha Pratis in everything that happens. And our generation is actually a very fortunate generation because we witnessed it with our own eyes. And by the way, we saw it, but even Goyim saw it. Sholom Martha and Rabbi Lipschutz will remember Larry Thompson, who was a former Deputy Attorney General of the United States of America, was a general counsel of PepsiCo at the time, and was very involved pro bono as well, trying to help Sholom Martha. We had a little celebration after Baruch Hashem Sholom Martha came home, and Larry said it may be better than anybody. He said, this may have been the best lawyering I've ever seen in my entire career, but at the end of the day, we witnessed a miracle. We all witnessed a miracle. So whenever you're going through a difficult period, get chizuk and recognize that when it comes to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, nothing is impossible. As Rabbi Lipschutz said, I got the same messages from people. I'm insane. I'm giving up my career. It's impossible. This man is going to spend the next 20 years in prison when I got involved. But the answer is, it's really simple. If you have emunah and bitachon, and you recognize that nothing is impossible for the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and then Baruch Hashem, the Hashgacha Pratis kicks in, and good things happen.
Very beautiful. I want to say just before Rabbi Lipschutz goes, please be mindful, Rabbi Lipschutz, but the few times that we spoke and I met you, Rabbi Lipschutz is not exactly Mr. Outgoing, running to do chesed, doing crazy things. No, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, and he comes from a different background than Rabbi Rubashkin. Rubashkin comes from Satmar, as we know, and Rabbi and Rabbi Lipschutz comes, from and just the ahava, and to put so many years and risking even the yated and putting so much koyches, and as you said today, you got a lot of slack for it at the beginning, like Mr. Meshugana. So before you leave, give a chizik for the olam that we should have that type of koyches to be so on fire for another person like you did.
As you said, I'm not the person I'm not the epitome of chesed. I'm not Mr. Chesed. I'm just a guy.
I disagree.
He disagrees.
He's a epitome of chesed. And
I agree with Sholom Martha.
Pinchos was again. Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
If you care about another Yid, and Yiddishkeit is all about caring about other Yidden. The Torah was given by Achdus. It's not just a song and it's not just a slogan. When we talk about Achdus, it's not just a word that we use because Joey Nuka made a nice song about Achdus. Achdus is our essence. It's what we are about. If we don't care about another Yid, then there's something lacking in us. Because we're all part of one guf, Arizal says. All of Klal Yisrael is one guf, different parts of the body. And if we don't feel a pinky, and if we don't feel a little toe, then there's something wrong with us. There are people, they have diseases that they can't feel limbs. If you don't feel for another Yid who's in a tzara, a person is going through a divorce, and I when you asked the question, I wasn't aware that a dirty divorce or a bitter divorce means that the husband doesn't want to give a get. I would never condone that unless there are circumstances that maybe. But I don't want what I said to mean that I support not holding back a get for whatever silly reasons, petty reasons. But when a person is going through a tzara, it's as if we are going through a tzara. Sholom, when I got involved, I didn't know him. And I didn't know him because I come from Lita and he comes from Samarkand. We're different. We found out that there's a lot that unites us because the Torah is Ein Torah, the Neshama is Ein Neshama, and the language is different. There's a language barrier, and we overcame the language barrier with Torah because we started with Torah, we ended with Torah. Sholom learned. You had to keep him busy because he needed oxygen. He learned with my son David on the telephone every day. They learned Mishnayos. We are all the same, and the sooner we realize that, the sooner we will get out of Golus. We can't let the way a person looks, the way he appears, convince us how not to act towards him. If he davens different, and we always say it, but it's true. Sholom is living proof of Amunah and Bitachon. And the way Klal Yisrael rallied for him is living proof to Achdus. That Achdus works when Klal Yisrael is ma'achid for a cause, when Yidden all over the world daven and give tzedakah for a cause, HaKadosh Baruch Hu hears the tefillas. And like the Beis Halevi said, if we would all be waiting for Mashiach, tzipisa liyeshua. The Rambam says that it's not just a mitzvah to be maimin alimam v'vias HaMashiach. You have to be mitzapa. You have to wait every day. Expect Mashiach to come. Every day, wake up and say, today is the day that Mashiach is coming. And you know why he's coming? Because I am doing what I can. The koiches HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me, I am using those koiches to bring more kedusha to the world, to bring more achdus to the world, and that is why Mashiach will come. And if we're in a tzardas, Vasem says in last week's parsha, Tavrei Samach Aleph, you can look it up. He says, "Menameitza karasi kol." What does mean menameitza? From the depths, I call out to Hashem. What does that mean? It means even when you are in the depths, in the worst matzav that you could be, that is the time to call out to Hashem, and Hashem will answer you. Tisha B'Av is the worst day, if there's such a thing as worst. But it's the saddest day on the Jewish calendar. It's the repository of all Jewish sadness, all the years. We don't believe in Yom HaShoah. We don't honor Yom HaShoah because we have Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av, we commemorate the Shoah, we commemorate Surfside and Miron and the pogroms and all the things that happened, Arugei Beita, everything that happened to Yidden, we commemorate on Tisha B'Av. And it's a day Ki'ilu. If the Beis HaMikdash was not rebuilt, it's Ki'ilu Chorv in our day. Let us once and for all get through our heads. Sinas Chinam is what prevents Mashiach from coming. Sinas Chinam is why we are in trouble. Sinas Chinam is why people are dying. It's why we're lost. It's why buildings are falling down and people are tumbling on top of each other. One reason Chazal tells people want to know, what does Hashem want from us? Chazal tell us, stop Sinas Chinam. That should be our motto. We have a week without Sinas Chinam. Mashiach will be here guaranteed on Sunday. And maybe even tomorrow. Thank you for giving us this opportunity, and you should be gebenched to continue being mechazik Yidden till Mashiach comes.
Amen. Rabbi Lipschutz, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Hey, Sholom, listen. It's Erev Tisha B'Av. You're here. You're the epitome of Munah B'Tachon. Give us the chizik before Mashiach comes now, that we should get ready.
Okay, so I'm the same. I will take leads from everybody spoke before. That at Munah B'Tachon, people ask many times, what were you zeicher to have this kids Hashem come, and what? So I wanted to. I shared this many times with the Pinchos, with the Rabbi, with many people. We had a little community in coastal Iowa, and Baruch Hashem, there was many different Yidden there because the Shechita was servicing many different communities. So each community sent in the Hashgacha, the Sheikha, the Mashgiach, whatever it was. So we had 10, 12 different Hasidus and Litvish and Sfadish. We all davened in one shul. We all had one Kiddush after every davening on Shabbos. We all had a Malacha Malukah. We were together. It was Achdus. The name of the shul was called Achdus Yisrael. So I really believe that this gang of Achdus, of helping each other, we worked hard all week, but we also served the Eibishter very hard. We davened hard, and we bringed hard, and everybody simcha was there. Simcha, everybody came to the brisen together, and everybody came to the upshot, and there's a lot of young people moving in town. So this Avos Yisrael that existed, I think, was a person never knows what schus did he have that's to match such a nest that experience. But the way I experienced is it was a tremendous. I was sitting in a place called prison. Spoke about it last time. The fact that, like I said, the Pinchos should come jump in and want to help. The fact that Rabbi jumped in later to help. And I used to get mail every single day from many people, older people, younger people, men, people, women. And I didn't know that people were partially interested. People sent money in to help what they could do stadless. People get the big money came in also. Like Pinchos said, that money could do nothing. The $18 checks, the $10 checks that came with a little note, I damn for you by the candles. When I heard these things, I remember I used to tell them, it's not the money, it's the hearts. It's the Ava, the Achlis. The Eibishter sees that we care for each other. And look how it happened later. I was sitting in a place called prison. Aleph, I got a letter from there. They said, the legal avenue is closed. The next day, I said every morning, I said, hold till him. Talked about doing the Eibishter wants. I said, Davin, I continued having trust in the Eibishter that I will be saved. The base Tavis, the guard opens the door and tells me, get out. I get out. I gave a thousand film. I had my taka inside my office. I went into the office, and the guy mentioned we spoke to each other, and I get out. I never imagined. I thought I'm going home at the 770. I'm going to my parents' house. We have a little a get together. Who would believe I came home to the house of Muncie? There were thousands of people outside the house of Muncie. I came to my parents' house 12 o'clock at night, like now. No, half an hour earlier. They said 12,000 people outside. I don't count. It was a block full of people. You see pictures. I came to 770. The whole for weeks. I was able to go into many gedolim, many yeshivas and rabbeim, and it was amazing. And I think to myself, where were we such a thing? This was an outpouring of ava and joy that Eden showed. They didn't have to be told by anybody to go out and street and dance. They saw a Yid that was in Sodas Thruris, and they thought, this guy ain't getting out from nothing. He's stuck. They tried very hard. They felt very bad. But it's not working, yeah? And when they saw the nest, everybody acknowledged it. And the way at night, people came with their carriages. And there were men and women with carriages in the back of the crowd. The kids should see Friday night on my father's house. The police counted over 4,000 Yidden came to say good Shabbos Friday night before they went to the Kiddush. Can you imagine that? 4,000. And Baruch Hashem, I stood there saying, he gives Sholom. What's the point? It's like it says that the Beis Hamikdash was choreb because of sinas chinam. Sinas chinam means that you hate somebody without a reason. I'm sure everybody has a reason why they hate him. That's not the point. The point is, it's silly. It's crazy. So we have to fix that with avos chinam. A Jew is in trouble. We have to help him. How do you help him? Help him. Give him the time of day. Sit down with them. They need a cleaning lady. Send a cleaning lady into the house. They need a hand. Make sure they don't. I thank the Eibishter. I always felt together with Eden. I get the letters. I read in the Yated every week an article. Gehacked. Chaim coming from California was a legal call. People are writing petitions and signing it, and didn't feel alone. Not only in a world of a woman, didn't feel alone with Eibishter. I personally felt I see Eden with me. I thank Eibishter for it. I want to reach out to everybody. I'm very happy what we made part of tonight's call, not only about what we're talking about Ian helping another Yid. Helping another Yid means parshat like that. Parshat, stopping what you're doing and help. You have to write a check, send in the cleaning help. Call up, my wife tells me, call up the person, I'm now in Costco, do you need anything for Shabbos? I think, show that you're thinking about them. Aves Chinam, as the Zen, big nisim in your life, in everybody's life. And we need the biggest lesson. We need Mashiach. We need him like with Tzapel Yeshua. We need Gula now. And we should be safe to do it now.
Amen.
Amen.
Let's go. So much. 1, 2, 3.
Mashiach.
How we want. How we want. We don't want.
We don't want to wait. We can't wait. So goes.
Lipschutz.
Yeah.
Chaim Yosef, Rabbi Rubashkin.
And I want to commend you before we get off that you went beyond your gvulim. You said 12 o'clock. We're shutting down. Tomorrow's a very busy day. I'm looking at the clock. It's way after 12 o'clock. See, that's
We're using Chaim Yosef's clock because he's in LA.
No, it's Me'al Teva. That's the
Me'al
Sholom.
Teva. When you
Me'al
go out
Teva.
of your comfort zone, you go out of your teva.
Exactly.
You should mention this. That's a bracha. You Usher, Menachem, you have Chaim Yosef, all the brachas.
Amen.
Amen.
And everybody was listening.
Everybody listening should have all the brachas they need. And everybody should know the Eibush is with them. Nobody's alone. We're not alone. Hashem is with us. Hashem will give all the brachas.
Amen. Good night, everybody. Shkoyach again.
Thank you.
Good
Good night.
night.